gallivanting around the golf course. And I have to address it. Even if I don't know if Chris Kroc addressed it or not when I was off the end of last week, but it needs to be addressed. And I really struggle in terms of trying to temper my reaction. I don't know if I should just report this deadpan and we'll have a completely dispassionate discussion on it, maybe even a little bit of gallows humor, or really get worked up and try to animate people to get similarly worked up. Talking about this Inspector General's report on the Chicago Public Schools spending. This was a report that was published on Wednesday of last week. And it found the district's spending on travel and overnight stays jumped from $300,000 in fiscal year 2021 to $8 million in 2024. $300,000 in 2021 to $8 million in 2024. You know, nearly 300x. It's not bad. Of course, there's an explanation for it, but just to set the table here, the Inspector General for CPS said some employees took advantage of the district's, quote, lax, vague, inadequate, and unenforced, unquote, travel rules and procedures, leading to the, quote, exorbitant, unquote, post-pandemic travel spending using taxpayer funds. These are his words, not mine. Rather than spend millions on professional development at resort spas, luxury hotels, and overseas destinations, CPS should keep its educational seminars as close to home as possible. Well, that doesn't sound like nearly as much fun as junkets financed by taxpayers. A spokeswoman for CPS, in very Politburo-like fashion, CPS remains unwavering in its commitment to fiscal responsibility and the success of our students. Obviously. As a district, CPS takes seriously our responsibility to protect the safety of our safety. The safety of our off script. We're talking about $8 million worth of junkets, and you're talking about you mean safety when they're flying cross country and staying at luxury hotels? Or is that why? That's how we keep them safe. We send them off to Vegas to stay at the Wynn in the presidential suite. Sure, they're safety. Safety first. CPS takes seriously our responsibility to protect the safety of our staff, students, and families, and to serve our CPS community, it's a family, with integrity and protect our investments and resources. Wow, that is comprehensive bull jive. 312-642-5600, turnkey.per answer line, and text line as well. I mean, I'd be surprised if it generates any response, because I know for most of our listeners, this is going to be past post information. If you don't know the details, you suspect the culture, so you have an idea what's going on. This comes as little surprise. Nonetheless, it is nice to have the actual details here. It is nice to have a view into this so that you can challenge, not just, forget challenging Stacey Davis Gates and her apparatchiks and the political power structure in the state, or their handmaidens in the media, but you can at least challenge people on a personal basis. Do you see this? Do you know this? Because as we find, very, very many people know very, very little about the things they purport to know when it comes to public policy and politics. Isn't that true? So you think, because you listen to this program and you generally pay attention, everybody has the drop on CPS and Chicago Teachers Union, and they don't. Not even close. The investigation began when an elementary school paid more than $20,000 to a vendor for a staff trip to Egypt. That was not signed off on. by the district. Well, paperwork. The OIG later found that 8 CPS schools had spent more than $142,000 in district funds on trips to Egypt, Finland, Estonia, and South Africa for professional development and school visits. Let's head over to South Africa or Egypt, see if we can learn some best practices, apply back home in Chicago. It's called professional development, Prof. I hope they got to see Tallinn, the old town in Tallinn. It's one of the few old towns not destroyed during the bombings of World War II. I'm talking about Estonia. Maybe take the ferry from Tallinn across to Stockholm. Enjoy a little bit of Scandinavia. That's where you can jump over to Finland, check out their schools. All good. The IG also investigated spending related to a series of professional development conferences in Las Vegas. That's just a popular convention destination, that's all. Bringing talented people together to information share, brainstorm, to improve education across the country. Seems to be working, right? No? One principal booked an unimproved $400 a night suite for himself. He is the principal. And his wife using district funds, even though the conference was hosted at a different hotel and didn't begin until 2 days after they were scheduled to arrive. Well, you want to get a jump on conference prep. You want to represent your school and the district properly. I mean, let's not be parsimonious, right? The Inspector General found some 600 CPS employees from 140 different schools and departments spent more than $1.5 million in similar Vegas seminars between the years 2022 and 2024. Nearly 90%, this is from the report, nearly 90% of CPS attendees stayed in hotel rooms that exceeded CPS spending limits. Hey, just like the school district does. I mean, if it's good enough for the school district, for the city, for the state, why not CPS employees? Exceeded CPS spending limits, those were meant to be broken. And at least 24 took round-trip Chicago to Vegas flights costing more than $1,000. Well, you got to compete with all the public sector pensioners that are just taking a vacation to Vegas. This is a nice touch, too. Notably, when this conference was held in Chicago, few CPS employees attended. Well, yeah, I want to party in Vegas, not Chicago. Do that anytime. Yeah. A CPS spokeswoman opined further on this. The core mission of CPS is clear: to provide every student with a high-quality, rigorous, inclusive, and enriching education that meets the diverse needs of all learners. The goal requires multiple strategies along with a unified effort at every level to reduce expenditures in a sustainable way. I'll tell you, that's a lot of words to say not very much. Pretty impressive, actually. I wonder if the CPS spokesman learned this sort of Soviet agitprop during a trip to Eastern Europe. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Chris on the Dan Ryan.
Dan, how dare you? We need to spend that $1 billion on these teachers to make sure that our children are educated properly. I don't care where it comes from. I don't care if it comes from Egypt or Estonia or Denmark. We need to make sure that money is spent wisely and our children are educated properly. Thank you.
Hey, no problem, Chris. Thank you. I mean, you're absolutely right. Is there any amount of money that's too much to spend when it comes to the education of our children, providing that quality, sustainable, rigorous, inclusive, enriching experience that the CPS FLAC mentioned? I mean, sign me up for the blank check. Although it was interesting, I noted over the weekend some Lawndale residents less enthusiastic, not about this specifically, but about the consequences of this specifically, which they see in the property tax bills they received. They just had a little property tax bill burning party there in Lawndale that was covered by ABC7. I don't know if it was the I-Team or not. Yeah, residents there a little flummoxed why their property tax bills keep going up significantly, and yet they don't see the goods that they were promised in their neighborhood. Well, where's the return on investment? Great question. Every resident of Chicagoland and Illinois generally should be asking it. At least they're asking it in Lawndale. And again, it's an attention grabber when you have a little property tax bill burning party in the neighborhood.
Well, people have gathered here tonight at Harmony Community Church here in Lawndale as they're trying to light the way to fairness with this bonfire and discussion tonight. Many homeowners across Chicago receiving a hefty property tax increase in the mail, and they're all wondering where that money is going.
How can you maintain your home if your taxes are constantly going up?
Yeah, a lot of people have that question. Now, let's continue to connect some dots. Look at that property tax bill, and even in Chicago, although it's much less so than in the suburbs. And where's the majority of your property tax dollar going? And at whose direction? Who set up the system? Could it be the people you voted for? Do you want to think about how we should do property taxes and who might be best positioned to do something different if you're looking at reform? And shockingly, an ABC7 report at the prompting of these residents, they were talking about, something like California did with Prop 15, capping property taxes at 1% of home value and capping annual assessments at 2%. Wow, that sounds like something Dan Proft and a lot of other people have been suggesting for the state of Illinois for the better part of 2 decades, 3 decades now. I've lost track. Something like California, something like Indiana, maybe something like Ron DeSantis wants to do in Florida, eliminate it altogether. At least let's put a marker down and have a conversation that moves us in that direction. Lawndale residents are ready. And I mean, I like Maria Pappas fine, but this is hardly a response that is proportionate to the problem.
You do not have to pay your bill on December 15th. Did you hear that? Yes. You don't have to pay it. Let me tell you why. We went to Springfield last year and set up a payment plan.
Pappas says you could go online on December 16th and find payment plans for up to 13 months. That's welcome news to these homeowners.
Yeah, great. Put the bill I have to pay on layaway, like the diminution of my equity I want to pay in installments over a year. That makes it better? Of course not. I mean, Maria Pappas can only offer that. She's not a policymaker in terms of the design of the system, but I mean, that's not anything that is responsive to the problem. That's not a solution. Another Lawndale resident.
We understand utilities are going up and things of that nature, but it's a valuation issue. Like we don't have schools we need. There's economics that aren't here, but we're being charged to pay for economics in other people's communities.
Well, I'm not sure that you're a net donor to other communities, Lawndale residents, but you're in the right neighborhood policy-wise. Keep thinking it through. I'm seeing my property taxes go up at a 45-degree angle, and what I see in my community is nothing has improved, beginning with the schools. Yes, and so let's go. Continue thinking forward, connect the dots, make that last step. If you do, you'll be a lot further along than many wealthy suburbanites. And maybe there's an opportunity for a stronger alliance between conservative reform types like myself and candidates running for office and some of those Lawndale residents that have made a point to offer public protest to this. Opportunity! It's knocking. Anybody in Chicago want to answer that door? Jim LaGrange.
Dan, relax. What is the big deal? Listen, professional development is everything. And you notice how the scores of the test scores of the kids are all going to go up now because of this. But if you really think about it, Dan, this is just a canary in the coal mine, because what the real number is the new teacher's contract that they got that no one ever talks about. So, let's just class everything up, because I'm sure everything's going to get better in the end, and the kids are going to be, because it's all about the kids, Dan. It's all about the kids.
It's all about the kids. Thanks for the call, Jim. And, two, you're right. You just like you can't pay too much for a child's education, you also can't pay too much for the kind of talent and the retention of talent that CBS sports in its teaching ranks. Clearly. I mean, not if you look at performance, but if you look at their own evaluation of themselves, and that's, their word's good enough for me, isn't it for you? Coming up at 5:38, Trump changes his tune on the Epstein files. 5:38, now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is a very chilly 33 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Today is the last day to pay outstanding eligible tax liabilities and have related penalties and interest forgiven. The state's 2025 tax amnesty period opened on October 1st and closes today for tax debt from June 30th of 2018 until July 1st of last year. Illinois Department of Revenue Director David Harris says the state is on track to meet its goal of netting more than $240 million. And just days after leaving Chicago, Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino has posted on his social media sites that ICE agents have arrested more than 80 illegal aliens in Charlotte, North Carolina. Meanwhile, federal agents have left their Illinois Command Center at Naval Station Great Lakes, and Texas National Guard troops are said to be leaving our area in the next several days. This news report is a service of Audible. Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. Fall for a brooding Duke, dive into a Stevie romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas, or find the perfect rom-com from Lily Chu. Start listening for free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago on December 26th on their The Ghost of Christmas Eve 2025 tour. Enter to win tickets and the grand prize of a 75-inch TV, a home stereo system, and a $1,000 gift card. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/TSO.
The biggest time of the year for stores is during the Christmas season. And if you deal in collector coins, the main source for inventory is from people like you. We want to have our showcases fully stocked before Christmas. Last Christmas, gold was the highest ever recorded in its 5,000-year run. We don't always know if precious metals will go up or down. We're saying that if you don't appreciate that collection Grandpa left, you may want to at least find out what you can get for it. Fox Valley Coins is the trusted place where people come to buy and sell their precious metals, rare coins, and paper money. We're especially interested in purchasing now through the first week of December. And we'll still be buying after we get back from the Christmas break, but we need to purchase now. Fox Valley Coins is located one light north of I-88 on Route 59 on the Naperville-Warrenville border. We'll be closed Christmas Eve through Monday, January 4th, celebrating Jesus' birth with family and for year-end inventory. Merry Christmas from Fox Valley Coins. Family-owned integrity since 1981. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Ross Shaw talks about building income in retirement.
You can actually structure it in a way that have that $4,000 a month coming in the door every single month. So you don't have to look at the stock ticker and say, oh, the stock market's up today, stock market's down. You still got that $4,000 a month, and having that opportunity to take the vacations and do all the fun things in retirement that you always dream to do.
Unleash your wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Anthony and John here from Bionic Auto Parts, proud clients of Signature Bank. We deliver high-quality, recycled and remanufactured auto parts to Chicago and Milwaukee. Our mission is simple: provide parts safely, reliably, with great customer satisfaction.
We process over 350 vehicles a month. With big banks, everything took forever. Layers of approvals and endless delays. At Signature Bank, one call got it done. Whether it's lending, deposits, or treasury management, they deliver fast. Signature Bank made us feel like family. That's a partnership we deeply appreciate.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Do the holiday parties, tailgating, and family get-togethers have your liver working overtime? Let Active Liver help give your liver some relief at Amazon or VitaCost.com, CVS, Meijer Grocery, or ShopRite.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect sunny skies giving way to more clouds later on with a high of 48. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with some rain arriving late and a low of 41. Tomorrow will bring periods of rain and drizzle with a high of 46. Wednesday, we'll see lingering low clouds with a high of 46. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, the Epstein saga, the twists and turns and turnarounds that Trump has made. Another case of 42-dimensional chess? Or just a mangled, counterproductive handling of the whole matter from the outset. The outset of the administration, not the outset of the issue. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Are you flipping and flopping right along with President Trump on this? On Sunday night, Trump reversing his position, throwing his support behind the congressional effort. There's a discharge petition to be voted on this week. And he knew he was going to see mass defections of House Republicans in support of this discharge petition pushed by Tom Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene and others. Trump on Sunday night throwing his support behind the congressional effort to release files related to Epstein. We have nothing to hide, he declared. House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide, and it's time to move on from this Democratic hoax perpetrated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party. The Department of Justice has already turned over tens of thousands of pages to the public on Epstein. Are looking at various Democrat operatives, Clinton, Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, etc., in their relationship to Epstein. And the House Oversight Committee can have whatever they are legally entitled to. I don't care. All I do care is that the Republicans get back on point, which is the economy, affordability, our victory on reducing inflation from the highest level in history to practically nothing, bringing down prices for the American people, delivering historic tax cuts, gaining trillions of dollars of investment into America, the rebuilding our military, securing our border, deporting illegal criminal aliens, ending men and women's sports, stopping transgender for everyone, and so much more, exclamation point. Well, the good news, despite what I would argue is the Trump administration's gross mishandling of this whole matter, because the other side is so craven and so amoral, this has a real possibility of boomeranging on them right now. They're going to get what they want, and they're going to get it good and hard. John Solomon over at Just the News opined this weekend.
The Democrats tried to make hay, but it hasn't stuck to Donald Trump. You know where it's sticking? to Democrats. And today the story really significantly boomeranged around. Why is that? First, Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer accused Democrat Jamie Raskin of working with prison officials to leak confidential communications from his client. Those prison officials apparently have been disciplined, but that is only the beginning of it. Just a few moments ago, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that she is naming the acting U.S. attorney in New York City, Jay Clayton, to investigate Democrats' relationships with Jeffrey Epstein and whether any of them rose to the level of criminality. Why? Because so many of the emails today didn't involve Donald Trump or Republicans. That's right. It involved all those Democrats. And this time around, the idea that Democrats would project on Republicans ain't going to cut it. This Justice Department is going to go full bore into that. That is a big, big decision in the weaponization era. And it's another of many signs that I think Pam Bondi is moving towards approving the notion that there was a grand conspiracy against Donald Trump and his followers and conservatives, and it needs to be treated as such, just like the mob was involved in a grand conspiracy or drug cartels were involved in a grand conspiracy. It looks like the Justice Department is moving closer and closer to that.
Yeah, but the problem with that Solomon analysis is that represents a 180 by Pam Bondi, too. Doesn't it? She was the one that authored that memo months ago saying, we've reviewed everything we have. There's nothing to see here. We're moving on. Oh, now we're going to open up and look at what we have. And we're going to, did the Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman relationships with Epstein, did they engage in any criminal conduct? I thought there was no criminal conduct. It was just Ghislaine and Jeffrey. Now all of a sudden we're looking at this all in a new light. There's no new evidence that I'm aware of. I mean, in other words, the stuff that has been released was in possession. This was ostensibly poured over by Pam Bondi and DOJ attorneys. I'll tell you what, often is the case in life, we win because of the abject failure of our opponents, or the fundamental lack of integrity, principle, and so forth of our opponents, I might add in this case. And that may very well be how it works out, but it doesn't mean that this was handled properly. It doesn't mean that this was handled consistent with what the attitude was and the promises were prior to Trump's installment for his second term. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And the thing is that's so puzzling about all this, as we've talked about intermittently when this subject has bubbled up again and again because of how they chose to handle it. I'm talking about the Trump administration. I mean, this was Trump in 2015 talking Epstein. 2015, talking to Mark Halpern about how Hillary Clinton could have an Epstein problem because of what happens on that island and who it happens with, including possibly Bill.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool. So,
the Clintons are friends
and he's
of yours,
been there
right?
for many times.
The Clintons are friends.
Well, I can't say friends, but I know
You're friendly. You know them.
They play at my clubs a lot. I have clubs, and everybody likes to play at my clubs.
Are you saying there's a political problem for her if she runs for president?
It could be a political problem. Look, he could be a political problem. Right now, he's Teflon, and right now, maybe not. But he could end up being a political problem.
That's one question.
Epstein, there's communications that Epstein indicated he believed. This is Michael Wolff, who's a rather unsavory character in his own right. If it sounds true, it probably is. His great statement of principle when it comes to his own reporting. If it sounds true in my books, it probably is. That's not how you substantiate something, by the way. But this is who we're dealing with when it comes to these unsavory characters, including people Trump surrounded himself with, including Michael Cohen. But going back, we'll get to Michael Cohen and his testimony in 2019 in a second, but the Epstein Wolf communication was that Epstein believed that Trump may have been the one who dropped a dime on him to West Palm Police that got him that felony conviction in the first place. In 2015, Trump said those things. And no pursuit of it in the first term. Yeah, I know. Why didn't Biden release the records? Democrats are hypocrites. Yeah, I know. Of course they are. That's true. And so, because they're hypocrites, it's okay for us to be hypocrites? Is that your philosophy? Is that the character formation you provided for your kids? I doubt it. So let's call balls and strikes here. What do you think? The incompetence annoys me. Particularly because it's all my best guess is the wanting to move on is all very sort of egocentric. It's because some of these exchanges that Epstein had with people like Larry Summers and the emails that were released beginning at the end of last week, suggest that Trump was this lecherous person, that, Jeffrey Epstein tells Larry Summers he's like the worst person. There's not an ounce of goodness in him and so forth. Well, I wouldn't want to get a compliment from Jeffrey Epstein. So what does Trump care? Wait, does anybody want to call Jeffrey Epstein as a character witness? Does anybody care what Jeffrey Epstein says? His judgment on somebody's character or not? So that's why it should have been on January 21st. We're going to look through everything we got, Cash and Pam and their teams, and everything's coming out. I don't have time for it. You know my view on Epstein. You know what our history was. Nothing's going to change that. Pouring over his emails between all of his fancy friends like Larry Summers and Reid Hoffman and Prince Andy and all that. I got bigger fish to fry. I got better things to do. And it would have been done. Instead, we let this languish on for the better part of a year. Oh, and the other piece of this, too, in terms of the boomerang that is happening, it's not just Raskin. Stacey Plaskett, who is a unremarkable congressional delegate from the U.S. Virgin Islands, in testimony in a House Oversight Committee hearing in 2019 featuring Michael Cohen, another dope that Trump chose to surround himself with for a long time, Stacey Plaskett was texting in real time to Epstein, getting instructions on questions to ask, names to bring up. And now this has all been sort of animated by outlets, including the Amazon Post. So this is not some, sort of right-wing conspiracy theorizing. So for all of those great Epstein hawks now on the left who were doves during the Biden years, okay, so talk to us about Jamie Raskin and talk to us about Stacey Plaskett and their fast friend, Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, and there's more. The Intercept reporting on the relationship that Epstein had with New York Times financial reporter Landon Thomas. Dozens of emails with Epstein between 2015 and 2018. That's more than a decade after his conviction for soliciting a minor, not to mention all that was suspected about him in elite circles for all those years prior to, in between, and subsequently. And Thomas is the New York Times reporter talking to him about trying to elicit information about various things, some having to do with Trump, some not. But he definitely tries to get him to dish on Trump and say, you should intercede here. Essentially, you should help take down Trump. And I won't do the reporting, but I'll pass this on to a political reporter at the New York Times. So again, those dogged D.C. press corps types that are so interested in stopping a pedophilia ring and stopping the exploitation of young girls. But, we're going to play politics first and see if we can accomplish what our real goal is here, which is to take out people we don't like politically so that we can install people we do like politically. Joe in Hoffman Estates, here in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. I hope you had a nice weekend.
Thank you.
You got it. Trump's first term, he looked a lot stronger. this term he seems to be on defense all the time, like the food tariffs were good, now they're not good. Don't release the Epstein files, not release the Epstein files. It looks like he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I don't know if you feel that way or what your opinion is on that.
Well, thanks for the call, Joe. I mean, I get that Trump is a pragmatic guy, and so he's not afraid to reverse his positions or adjust them. And that's okay. It's okay, as long as it's in furtherance of what he promised to do, and there's an explanation that's plausible for the adjustment or the reversal. I mean, I know he never makes a mistake. He's never going to say I was wrong. He's never going to apologize for anything he did. That's just his nature. Norman Vincent Peale, acolyte that he is. But it would be a lot more helpful if he did. It's always helpful if somebody shows a little bit of humility, a little modesty. Plus, it would be so against character that it would be a bit humanizing. I mean, he gets so much. It's just sort of the lack of like tight communication. Let me give you another example. What's going on? And this isn't a reversal, but it's just an opportunity that's missed. All this talk about in the context of ICE enforcement actions, removing people in this country illegally, beginning with those who pose a public safety threat. And it's, and then, and we'll talk about this in the 6 o'clock hour. The U.S. Catholic Conference of Bishops comes out with this big statement where they're trying to middle the issue, and so many people doing the same thing. And it's all treated like, this demonizing of immigrants, that Trump hates immigrants. It's all about black and brown people. It's not true. It's just not true. He gets in a back and forth with Laura Ingraham in their sit down last week, where she's taking the more absolutist position than he is when it comes to legal immigration. He is a proponent of legal immigration. But it's sort of lost because of the lack of the clarity of the communication. And so, my sense is, for the most part, yeah, Trump likes beautiful women, and he tomcatted around for much of his life as a cat. I mean, this is all built into the price. We got it. We know. But he also seemed to have the right instincts about Epstein. So, I mean, just, remind people of that, and then come what may. Why worry about whatever slights that were sent in his direction and the score settling or potentially protecting people? I don't know what it is. It's still sort of baffling to me that this was handled as badly as it's been handled to this point. And again, because of the quality of his opponents, he may come out on top on this, having put the issue to rest and having the Democrats blown off a couple more of their toes in the process. But that doesn't excuse the judgments that were made. It has to, for the people, it's just so distracting, Right. Well, it's his fault that it's distracting. It's the administration's fault, not just Trump, Cash and Bondi and Bongino and everybody else that were beating their chests about Epstein file. And then said, there's no there there. And now they're in full reverse. Maybe there's a there there. We're going to look at it. Doesn't inspire confidence. Craig, Mount Greenwood.
Hey, good morning, Dan, and thank you for taking my call. This is a huge thing, and I'm going to repeat myself on something I mentioned before, but I'm going to give you some context and give you some background. Remember when they went in there right after, when they went on the island there, all the agencies, there was 100 agents on her. They scooped up everything. All the videos, all the audios, everything was all, they scooped up all the evidence. Now, what did they do with the evidence? Well, they did the same thing they did with the Hunter Biden laptop, same thing they did with Hillary Clinton stuff and everything like that.
It doesn't wash. No. It doesn't. I know where you're going. It doesn't wash, Craig, because we just had a bunch of emails dropped.
No,
what are you talking about?
But I got a point.
Okay, go ahead, quick.
My point is that the three-letter agencies, they had all these years to screw with that stuff. I just think that Bondi.
Yeah, well, so what?
Careful.
No. Stop it. Who's in charge of the three-letter agencies now? Who issued the statements they issued on these files months ago? What I said months ago and what the Wall Street Journal opined over the weekend still stands. And it's so obvious. It's not like this is a great insight. The Wall Street Journal editorial board, what Bondi should have done long ago was call a press conference, explain why she doesn't want to release more files than she already has, take the media heat. There are good reasons for privacy and unfair guilt by association not to dump hundreds of thousands of pages of raw FBI investigatory files into the public arena. Some victims who so far may not have been publicly identified could also be hurt. So the point was lay it out, answer questions, hold yourself before the press corps and the public and say, this is the deal. This is the approach we're taking. This is why we're taking it. Here's what we will do, and here's what we won't do. Here are questions that we still have, maybe, that we're open to pursuing. Particularly if there is new evidence that comes to light. We don't have enough to take action on anybody today, but there are persons of interest. Whatever the truth is, whatever the legal thinking was, apply the acumen and then explain to the public. It really is not complicated. Coming up at 6:06, we'll turn our attention to what I just mentioned, that Catholic Conference of Bishops statement on immigration and everything that's going on at Broadview and Big Blue City, America. It's now 6 o'clock.
The flight restrictions taken off. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. They were lifted an hour ago, days after the government reopened. So after the thousands of flights canceled the past several weeks, there are just 30 so far today.
Regular flight schedules are allowed at the 40 airports that had been ordered to cut back starting November 7th, 5 weeks into the government shutdown. Air traffic controllers weren't getting paid, and more were missing work, citing stress from understaffing and financial pressure. Some needed to take on other work to make ends meet. Flight cuts started at 4%, growing to 6%. Then pulled back to 3% this past Friday as staffing levels were getting back to normal post-shutdown.
That's Fox's Chris Foster. There are more than 400 delays today, but not related to the issues during that shutdown. The U.S. military has blown up another boat suspected of smuggling illegal drugs off the South American coast, the 21st one in the operation that started in September, targeting what the Secretary of War calls narco-terrorists. Another 3 were killed, 83 in total so far, and Fox's Jared Halpern reports more may be coming, with an aircraft carrier strike group now in the region.
U.S. airstrikes have targeted alleged drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific, killing dozens of individuals. And President Trump has hinted at taking out possible cartel targets inside Venezuela. But the president also tells reporters there is a potential diplomatic outreach with Venezuela's leader, Nicolas Maduro.
We may be having some discussions with Maduro, and we'll see how that turns out.
The president keeps calling the Jeffrey Epstein controversy a Democrat-led hoax, but he now supports what's happening in Congress.
President Trump making a stark reversal. He's now urging House Republicans to approve the release of files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The president saying he has nothing to hide. Democrats and some Republicans have been pushing for a House vote to release more files.
Fox's Marianne Rafferty, that vote could come tomorrow in the House. There was a new illegal immigration crackdown over the weekend in Charlotte, North Carolina, with more than 80 arrests with Border Patrol. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 33 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is threatening service cuts, layoffs, and property tax hikes if aldermen reject his proposed head tax on businesses. Jim Talamonte reports.
The City Council held a public hearing on the budget Friday, but did not vote on the mayor's spending plan. Johnson was asked if he would be willing to make concessions to get people on board.
It's clear here we're either going to cut services and lay people off and raise property taxes, or we're going to make sure that those with means who can actually afford it put more skin in the game.
The mayor was asked why he is pushing for a vote instead of waiting.
There has not been one alternative that has been presented. And so I'm for more deliberation if we're actually debating over something.
Several aldermen urged the mayor to find more efficiencies instead of raising taxes. The city council is scheduled to meet again Tuesday. In Chicago, I'm Chip Talamonte.
A man has been arrested for robbing a staffer of Illinois Senate President Don Harmon in his office last week. Harmon released a statement thanking Oak Park police for their assistance in apprehending the suspect who walked into Harmon's office and robbed the female staffer at knife point. The staffer was unharmed. And a student at the University of Chicago has been named a Rhodes Scholar. Tori Harris will be studying at Oxford University in England next fall. Harris is the 56th student from the University of Chicago to be named a Rhodes Scholar. Her goal is to earn a master's degree in African Studies and in archaeology. This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again, not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Larry Elder explains the real Obamacare.
We were told over and over and over again that Obamacare was going to bend the cost curve down. And people are paying more for their premiums. Co-pays are higher. Deductibles are higher. Cost is higher. For people that get coverage through their employer, it's higher. Individual, it's higher. It's made things worse.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you or someone you love are getting high quotes for dental implants, visit AlmostFreeTeeth.com today. With a medical PPO insurance plan, it's possible to save 90% off on average to be able to smile again. Check if you qualify now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
The children of our nation know little to nothing about 9/11, but the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute is righting this wrong by helping teachers educate kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction first-person accounts are told through videos and the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full scripted curriculum units with background for teachers, a speakers bureau for classrooms, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts and FDNY guides. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
I used to stand in the paint aisle staring at all those products and wondering which one actually worked. I wasted so much money on things that didn't help. Then I tried Blue Stop, and let me tell you, it works. It soothes my sore joints and stiff muscles fast, absorbs quickly, and even smells great. Millions of people already trust Blue Stop, and now I do too. No prescription, no waiting. It's on the shelf right now at Walmart. If you want real relief, choose Blue Stop and feel the difference. Blue Stop at Walmart today.
Well, that was a surprise. The HVAC tech just said our furnace apparently has a cracked heat exchanger, and it'll cost thousands.
Oh, you're kidding. He barely looked at it. Now he's pushing a huge repair? What should we do?
I don't really trust them. We need a second opinion. My brother Mark recommended Air Right Heating and Cooling. I looked them up and they seem legit. Great Google reviews. I'm sure they'd give us an honest assessment. He liked that they checked their carbon monoxide readings so he knows the air they're breathing is safe. And I guess it also gave a sense of how much life was left in their furnace.
I'd love that peace of mind. Plus, why spend a fortune on something we might not even need?
Get a second opinion from Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you and get $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling right now at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. In great shape in both directions on the Eden inbound. From Lake Cook to Montrose is 14 minutes. Outbound is 13. The Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange is 18 minutes. Outbound is 25. The northbound Tri-State is a little bit slow as you approach the outbound Eisenhower, and it's 14 minutes in both directions on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 18 minutes. Outbound is 16. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange is 14 minutes. Outbound is 11. And watch out for a crash in Bartlett on Route 59 right at Lake Street. This report is a service of Fox Valley Coins. Currently buying all gold and silver bars and coins, silver dollars, rare date proof, and mint sets. Visit foxvalleycoins.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, expect sunny skies giving way to more clouds later on with a high of 48. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with some rain arriving late and a low of 41. Tomorrow will bring periods of rain and drizzle with a high of 46. Wednesday will see lingering low clouds with a high of 46. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. A lot of developments over the last several days when it comes to the topic of the enforcement of immigration law. We're going to talk to the field office director for ICE in Chicago, Sam Olson, at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour, and I'll have him respond to some of the allegations that are being bandied about by fake news outlets like the Chicago Tribune and ProPublica. But I want answers to the accusations. I want, full transparency from ICE. I want details on how many they're arrested and what the distribution is, and give us thumbnail sketches on the people arrested and all that, because this should be flooding the public arena for people to disseminate and work around the histrionics of the Chicago Political Press Corps and the feverish reactions all the way up to the point of acts of violence that they are helping to instigate. So for now, I wanted to talk about some sort of political developments. And one of them is the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops. In their infinite wisdom, they decided to put together a little We Are the World video with a compilation of bishops offering kernels or patches in the rich tapestry of the Catholic Conference of Bishops' blanket position on immigration, which is they want to be all things to all people, but the net of it is yes and no when it comes to the enforcement of immigration law, and the middle ground pathway to citizenship, which is a phony middle ground, is where we should land.
As pastors, we, the bishops of the United States, are bound to our people by ties of communion and compassion in our Lord Jesus Christ. And we are disturbed when we see among our people a climate of fear and anxiety around questions of profiling and immigration enforcement.
We are saddened by the state of contemporary debate and the vilification of immigrants. We are concerned about the conditions in detention centers and the lack of access to pastoral care.
We lament that some immigrants in the United States have arbitrarily lost their legal status. We are troubled by threats against the sanctity of houses of worship and the special nature of hospitals and schools.
We are grieved when we meet parents who fear being detained when taking their children to school, or when we try to console family members who have already been separated from their loved ones.
Despite obstacles and prejudices, generations of immigrants have made enormous contributions to the well-being of our nation. We as Catholic bishops love our country and pray for its peace and prosperity.
For this very reason, we feel compelled now in this environment to raise our voices in defense of God-given human dignity.
Catholic teaching exhorts nations to recognize the fundamental dignity of all persons, including immigrants. We bishops advocate for a meaningful reform of our nation's immigration laws and procedures.
Human dignity and national security are not in conflict. Both are possible if people of good will work together.
We recognize that nations have a responsibility to regulate their borders and establish a just and orderly immigration system for the sake of the common good.
Without such processes, immigrants face the risk of trafficking and other forms of exploitation. Safe and legal pathways serve as an antidote to such risks.
So did they thread the needle there? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. This really is a terribly limp-wristed organization. I'm talking about the U.S. Catholic Conference of Bishops. I mean, for those who don't know, it comes as no surprise. This is a leftist organization. I mean, in point of fact, not to go off on a tangent, but their Catholic Campaign for Human Development, which is their anti-poverty agency. I mean, they've been giving grants to organizations that platform abortion, contraception, LGBTQIA2S++++++++++++ ideology. Everything under the sun, because as you heard there, they're sentimentalists. Oh, we understand that anarchy is not the solution, but we think that people who came here illegally should have a legal pathway. That's their pathway to citizenship promotion. And you note the lack of distinctions, the lack of specificity. Did they specify people who came here illegally, and that was the only crime they committed, versus those who have come here illegally and committed multiple other crimes, including some horrific crimes? No, they didn't. You get the references, very much like these open letters. So they're so cowardly, so sloppy, intellectually, and it's probably purposeful. We get generic references, the Christian churches and institutions that have been attacked. Oh, really, Padre? Where have you been over the last half a dozen years when more than 500 churches and Catholic institutions and pro-life and family and pro-family groups have had their facilities vandalized or worse after the Dobbs decision? And in that vein, or by radical Islamists. There was one just sentenced in Arizona. And in that vein, that was the motivating factor, political and religious violence directed at Catholics. Where have you been? Where is the We Are the World video compilation about the persecution of Christians in Nigeria? The genocide, really. Couldn't get the band together for that one, but you got them together for this. Cash on the table? Bishops? What is it? Or just, again, the sentimentality that you dress up as Catholicism. These are liberation theologists. In other words, Catholics who despise Catholicism. I mean, they won't say it that way, obviously. But they do with these mealy-mouthed positions they stake out.
To our immigrant brothers and sisters, we stand with you in your suffering, since when one member suffers, all suffer. You are not alone.
Again, the no distinction there. Immigrants suffering. And the victims of people in this country illegally? What would you say to the Abraham family up in Glenview? bishops. And don't tell me what you would say after you cut this video, because you purposely blurred those lines. And it's disreputable and despicable. This is what drives people away from the church. And there's a distinction between the church and the faith, which unfortunately some people don't make. But I can certainly see why I wouldn't want to be going to a church or giving to a diocese that is lorded over by one of these gutless false prophets. Just the suffering. Suffering is only in one direction, huh? But you agree with the enforcement of immigration law. That's a thing that countries can and should do. Okay. So for those people who say can and should do it, how should they do it? It's always the sort of wrapping themselves in human dignity. Nobody disputes that everybody is entitled and should be treated with dignity. Every person. That we're all made in the image of God. Nobody disputes that. Straw man arguments. How would you deal with people who resist apprehension from ICE? How should ICE deal with them? How should law enforcement? And do you think that if, for example, Chicago police officers and ICE law enforcement officers, do you think if they changed uniforms, you'd be able to tell the difference? I don't think so. If the officers on the NYPD changed uniforms, or the officers in Chicago changed uniforms with CBP, you'd be able to tell the difference? I don't think so. So these are men and women, Americans, doing a job they were sworn to do to protect the public and enforce the rule of law, which is also a cornerstone of a free society. So again, don't give me the generic references to human suffering over here and attacks over there and demonizations and so forth. Be specific and tell us the particular vision, since you've decided that you have a particularly important point of view that must be shared and considered.
We oppose the indiscriminate mass deportation of people. We pray for an end to dehumanizing rhetoric and violence, whether directed at immigrants or at law enforcement.
What's indiscriminate about it? Oh, we didn't get an answer to that. It's just characterized as indiscriminate. It's characterized as inhumane. It's characterized as violative of human dignity. So I guess, who has to obey the law and who doesn't? Bishops. Same question to the larger public. Chicago press corps, Chicago political power structure, the powers that be in our culture, in the city, in the state. Why can't anybody answer that? Who has to obey the law and who doesn't? I just want to know, so that everybody knows who's exempt and who is not exempt. You know whether or not you have an exemption. I would like to know. They're just disgraceful, really. You're focused on Catholics, aren't liberal Jewish organizations, rabbis offer. Yeah, right, across the board. There's a leftism, politics is our actual religion, as we pretend to be Jews or Catholics or Protestants or Muslims. But we're really just political activists. Yes, across the board. It's not limited to Catholicism, but it includes it. And this is a high-profile case to dissect, isn't it? Megan in Evanston, you're in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan. Thanks for taking the call. I'm so glad you're covering this. The bishops are weak. They haven't stood up for anything. When they did not stand up for abortion, they have lost their credibility. And also, they really don't care about kids. I'm just going to add the scholarship that the cardinal and the diocese did not really support. So again, it's not about kids first. It's about their own self-interest. Thanks.
Thanks for the comment. Yeah, where were you, bishops, when J.B. Pritzker and his buddies Welch and Harmon were taking scholarships from primarily brown and black kids in Chicagoland? And around the state, too, but primarily Chicagoland. Where were you? What about their suffering? the suffering that comes with not even having the opportunity to earn a quality education that sets you on a path to success in life. Nothing to say there? This is the thing that's remarkable about Cupich. You won't even take up the defense of your own schools, Cardinal. You won't even act in the interest of your own Catholic schools in the Arch. How pathetic are you? And you're going to lecture me about who's fighting for the stranger, the downtrodden, who's trying to provide opportunity. Yeah, I know. He paid lip service to it. And on the front end with Rauner, he was, and I gave him credit for it, he did get involved. But you got to stay involved if you want to protect it against these rapacious leftists, don't you? You should know you are one of them. And when it came time for your buddy Pritzker and Harmon and Welch to tube this, you were nowhere to be found. Just like the rest of you holier than thous. Not really holy, just holier than thou. It should have been a national call to action. The only time in the history of the country that an opportunity scholarship program has been rescinded. Only a state like Illinois, with the pitiful leadership of the government and the civic and cultural institutions, would have the gall to take away a pathway to success from a kid. And we know it works, and it's working in the majority of the other states in this country, so that's not in question. Just as an aside, where they decide to spend their capital, where they decide to display their religiosity and where they don't. Sickening. Oh, and while you're concerning yourself with the human suffering, bishops, maybe Milwaukee's. You want to go an hour north of Milwaukee to Mequon, Wisconsin? Check out what's happening there. ABC affiliate there reporting.
Trail cameras in Mequon capturing video of people wearing backpacks and gloves with their faces covered, creeping through the woods.
Burglaries are not an uncommon thing, but the amount of burglaries that are happening, the way they're happening, it's uncommon.
Mequon Police Captain John Hale says investigators believe the same group has broken into about a dozen homes there this year.
This is happening throughout the state and throughout the United States.
Tell me about this organization. What do you know about them?
Basically, what we know is that they're from South America, and then they're coming up here to commit these crimes.
In all of the cases Mequon police have investigated, they say the group of burglars walks through the woods, approaching a house from the backyard. Then they get in by breaking a door or window.
The burglars targeting homes in cul-de-sacs, striking in the early evening hours of Thursday through Sunday when no one is home.
They're taking people's jewelry, currency, and high-end handbags. That's all they're taking out of the house.
Video from last year shows a break-in at Bucks forward Bobby Portis's River Hills home. Investigators believe a Chilean crime group behind that break-in and multiple others at pro athletes' homes across the country.
Is it believed that these are a part of the same network?
There's a high probability that they are all connected with those burglaries also.
Mequon police warning homeowners to activate their security systems. They believe this camera was detected by the would-be burglars who left.
Yeah. Activate your security systems because the political power structure, because Tony Evers isn't going to protect you. Tammy Baldwin isn't going to protect you. They're going to act against your personal safety, aren't they? Just like down here. Their suffering doesn't matter. People are robbed. And professional athletes, oh, they're rich. So what? It's dangerous, obviously. And we've seen around the country these criminal theft rings interdicted. And it just goes on and on. Every day I could, and I try to bring some, could bring you story after story after story of people who have been victimized by people in this country illegally. It's not that it's the majority and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go through all the qualifiers, but it's happening. And there's no consideration for preventable crimes. There's no consideration for all the people who have and families who have been victimized by people who don't legitimately belong here because they broke the law. All human suffering that could have been avoided if we were serious about enforcing the law. And because you finally have a president who is, now it's all inhumane and indiscriminate and so on and so forth. What was inhumane and indiscriminate was the open borders policies you said nothing about. And the devastation those policies have wrought. Tony, Riverside.
Good morning, Dan. Of course, this is all in part because of the emasculation of the male gender. It's their plan, and it's working. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons they hate Trump so much. I find that most of the men that I know that are spoken out have Trump derangement syndrome, aren't secure in their own masculinity, and it's scary. It's very scary.
Thanks for the call, Tony. Owen, Willowbrook.
Dan, as a Catholic, I find it more and more difficult every day to practice my religion due to the leadership of the church and the American bishops. And if you look at the Vatican City, the punishment for illegal immigration in the Vatican City is up to 5 years in prison for illegal immigration. You can be fined up to 25,000 euros, and you get a potential ban from entering the country for up to 15 years. Maybe they ought to point to the leadership of where they're headquartered before they start, not supporting U.S. law.
Thanks for the call, Owen. How about the DMV CDL scandal in New York State? Nassau County prosecutors rolled out 7 arrests the other day. This is what some DMV employees there were doing. We're familiar with this in Illinois, aren't we?
Prosecutors say this was really an elaborate corruption scheme, and some of the workers at this DMV almost got away with it.
Deciding who gets to operate heavy rigs on our roads and highways is not something the New York Department of Motor Vehicles should take lightly.
Bypassing that safeguard is far from a harmless shortcut. It is a dangerous threat to public safety.
But that's exactly what prosecutors here in Nassau County allege in a 51-count felony indictment against 7 different people, including a supervisor at this DMV in Garden City, Kenesha Middleton, and her sister Jamie Middleton, allegedly taking at least 10 different permit tests for no-show drivers. You can see Jamie in surveillance pictures wearing different disguises, even fake facial hair, as she posed as a man who would be applying for a commercial driving permit. But she forgot to take off her fake nails.
I think it's pretty poor. The fingernails kind of gave it away.
So did another supervisor who acted as the whistleblower. Prosecutors say the defendants charged as much as $3,000 per permit test, 2 of them working these counters so they could wave the phony test taker through. 3 of the drivers who paid the fee ended up with commercial permits, but only 1 passed his road test. James Nurse, who ended up working here at the Town of Hempstead Recycling Center, where he spent over a year and a half driving a truck.
A government employee, licensed only through a lie, driving a massive truck through our streets.
Yeah, so bishops, you want to talk about the human suffering inflicted by people who fraud the system, I should say, on the inside of the system or on the outside of it, and obtain fraudulent CDL licenses? Talk about those, Haitian migrants? I believe they were Haitian, who were killed on that Florida Turnpike by that Indian, illegal immigrant from India who had a fraudulent CDL. The illegal immigrant from India who rammed into parked cars and backed up traffic on a California expressway and killed 3 people. What of that human suffering? And it's interesting how these stings and the systemic fraud with things like CDL licenses occur in states like New York and Illinois and California. Real coincidence, right? Coming up at 6:36, latest installment of Why Dan Proft is Single. Meet Olga. She's got a pitch for the single men out there. 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 34 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. With the city council expected to vote this week, Chicago residents are weighing in on Mayor Brandon Johnson's proposed budget. Director of Organizing from the Chicago Teachers Union, Casey Sweeney, urged aldermen to support the mayor's $16.6 billion spending plan.
The Protecting Chicago budget puts forward unprecedented investments in our schools, our parks, our libraries, $1 billion.
The proposal includes new taxes on employers, social media, and sports betting. The City Council's Budget Committee is scheduled to meet today, and the full council could vote as early as tomorrow. A United Airlines flight headed to Chicago's O'Hare International Airport was diverted to St. Louis yesterday morning after a bomb threat was received. United Air Flight 380 landed safely in St. Louis after that threat was received. Once in St. Louis, the plane was searched and nothing suspicious found. This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again. Not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher is still amazed by Trump derangement syndrome.
For the life of me, I think I understand it. I mean, I understand it gets very personal for people, and I feel so sorry for people who are this unhappy because an election didn't turn out the way they wanted it to. But to have this kind of rage against a person that so many people love.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, he wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Honey, what's for dinner?
Honestly, nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Because every time I need a pan, I have to unload half the kitchen first.
It's like Jenga, but with casserole dishes.
Exactly. And I always lose.
At Forever Remodeling, we create kitchens that fit your life, not the other way around. From smart storage to stunning finishes, start cooking in a kitchen built just for you. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com.
This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. Netflix is in trouble, and it's not just about the ratings. The company is promoting transgender content to children, including shows like Dead End Paranormal Park and Strawberry Shortcake, rated for young children. One show even featured a child shaming doctors for using biological pronouns. Tesla CEO Elon Musk canceled his Netflix subscription over this sexualized content and urged others to do the same. The result? A plunge in Netflix's stock price. Investors shouldn't pay the price for Netflix's mistakes. Shareholders are speaking up. Proposals from investors are demanding that Netflix explain how this content impacts legal risk and brand value. Sexualizing children isn't just evil, it's bad business. If you own Netflix stock, don't stay silent. Vote your shares, demand accountability, protect kids, and protect your investment.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust. Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything, from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits, a $2,000 value, free.
Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-289-6016. That's 800-289-6016. 800-289-6016.
Picture this. You're halfway through a DIY car fix and boom, you're missing a part. It's okay, because whatever it is, it's on eBay, and it's guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Looking good on the Eden both ways from Lake Cook to Montrose is 14 minutes. The Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, 19 minutes. Outbound is 31. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office is 16. Doing great on the outbound side at 14. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 20 minutes. Outbound is 15. And the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 17 minutes. Looking good on the outbound side at 11. On the Bishop Ford, the exit and entrance ramps to Doty Avenue is closed for construction. And then we have an accident in Cicero on Cicero Avenue right at Cermak Road. This report is a service of Blindster.com. Need new blinds? At Blindster.com, they offer guaranteed low prices, guaranteed satisfaction, free samples, and free shipping. At Blindster, they take the fear out of ordering custom blinds, shades, and shutters so you can do it yourself and save big. Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, expect sunny skies early, giving way to more clouds later on with a high of 48. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with some rain moving in late and a low of 41. Tomorrow will bring occasional rain and drizzle with a high of 46. By Wednesday, anticipate overcast skies with a high of 46. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
That's right, bringing it in tight. Dan Proft here. I got a few today. I'm trying to get to them. Gallup is reporting that 40% of women aged 15 to 44 would like to leave America permanently. Bye. I'll tell you what, here, you want to talk about being pro-immigration. I'm happy to do one-for-one exchanges. Line them up and line up women from wherever who want to come to America. And one goes out and one comes in. What do you think? 4 times higher is that 40% than the 10% of Raffles/Awfuls who said the same back in 2014 when they had Obama in the White House and all was right with the world. Because they could unload their white guilt and celebrate being lectured by Barack and Michelle. Hello, Michelle, when it comes to race relations. And when it comes to, what you honkies are doing that you shouldn't be doing and what you're not doing that you should be doing. And thankfully, for the 40% who want to leave, Michelle's still out there to provide a safe haven for them. I guess she's going around trying to prop up the ratings for her podcast or still selling books. I don't know. Don't really care. But this was some of a recent event that she had, talking about growing up in Chicago, particularly when they started, the Obamas that is, they started to break into the circles of honky power in the city.
Exposure to the high end of Chicago, and to access those places and not be accused of stealing, you realize very early on that you better let them hear you talk, or, you know, come in with the right LeSac case, or else you would be watched. And, you know, so I think I learned then that how you show up, especially when it comes to white folks looking at young black kids, that how you present can sometimes save your life. So yeah, I think I was learning that all throughout my youth.
You know, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, Michelle Obama didn't speak right and look right, you know, according to white standards. She could have been gunned down. One of those cocktail parties at the top of the Aon building. And hey, listen. And this time she's talking to you too, ladies. America ain't ready for her or you. Well, so it's time for y'all to leave.
How do you feel about the fact that the First Lady is an archetype for wifedom and femininity?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Don't agree with that. It's, you know, it is a completely throwback on. It's a definition that has no current status in how women actually show up in the world today.
Do you think that impacts the room that we've made for a woman to be president?
Well, as we saw in this past election, sadly, we ain't ready. That's why I'm like, don't even look at me about running, because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You are not. So don't waste my time.
Don't waste her time.
We got a lot of growing up to do. And there's still,
talking to you.
Sadly, a lot of men who do not feel like they can be led by a woman, and we saw it. What was the question?
Oh, she's so great. Don't ever leave. Please keep talking. I'm so glad she hasn't left the scene. I'm so glad that she is there with her animus towards America and the white power structure as she believes it to be and so forth. Gosh, she's right up there with like a Jasmine Crockett or an AOC. Just keep talking. Don't ever go write another book. I'll have you on the show. Please don't ever stray. I want you to stay, Michelle. I know 40% of your faithful want to leave, but you stay, or at least keep doing interviews from wherever you land. 40% of women aged 15 to 44 would leave. I tell you, that would certainly clarify the singles market for a lot of fellas, wouldn't it? The growing trend in younger women in the U.S. looking to leave the country is not evident in other advanced countries, according to Gallup. Among all adults, the number who wish to exit America permanently is 20%, a near record, but that's primarily due to unhappy women. Only 19% of men aged 15 to 54 want to leave, and they can be right behind them. We'll do a one-for-one exchange with them, too. The older honky chicks, mainly I'm talking about, not exclusively, just by age, but mainly it's, you know, your suburban Harridans. So Gen X and up, they're down at 14%. One, you know, a little bit less than a third of where the cohort is overall, 15 to 44. They're 15 to 44 compatriots. Men 45 plus, only 8%. So, as I say, boy, that would be, you know, we talk about emigrating to this country, and we don't talk about how we should encourage emigration from our country for the dissatisfied. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. But that would, I mean, think about how much of the detritus it would remove from those dating sites that people use. If you could eliminate that 40%, it would be so much less of a job, as I understand it from my friends who use those things. It'd be so much less of a job to scroll through, right? Could really zero in on potentially attractive targets. Did I say that right? It sounds weird to say that about like a dating prospect. Perhaps that's another reason why I'm single. Michael, Southside.
Dan, good morning. Welcome back, and thank you for taking my call. Michelle Obama is taking race pimping to a whole new level, but she never mentions that crappy job that she got at the University of Chicago. How many white women could have gotten that gig?
Thanks for the call, Michael. She did such a great job, they eliminated the position when she left. She made it obsolete. But that wasn't her only complaint, too. And I'm sure this is a complaint among some of those 40% of 15 to 44-year-old awfuls who want to leave the country for the greener pastures of, Greenland.
Worry about it. Let me explain something to white.
Oh, she's going to explain something to you. Hold on.
Worry about it. Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim. And we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all. It is exhausting and it's so expensive and it takes up so much time. Braids are for y'all so we can work harder and focus on the work. So why do we need an act, an act of law to tell white folks to get out of our hair? Don't tell me how to wear my hair. Don't wonder about it. Don't touch it. Just don't.
What? I don't know what the hell she's talking about, but here's the thing I would say. If you don't want to straighten your hair, don't straighten your hair. Why would you be compelled by whatever you think the honky standards are for your hair? I thought you're a strong, independent black woman. What are you talking about with somebody else's standards for what you look like or your hair? When you're all talking, I don't think that's the standard for what a first lady is going to be, and you sort of laughingly dismiss the idea that a first lady is supposed to be, feminine and motherly and wifey and so forth. But yet somehow you're enslaved by the honky standards for your hair, and that's why you don't like to swim. What the hell are you talking about? That's a laugh line for these gaggles, more like covens, that show up to attend her talks. Boy, oh boy, she really had to restrain herself those 8 years in the White House, didn't she? I'm glad she is completely unchained now. And willing to hold forth and be her true self, contradictions and all. I'm enjoying it. Really, really enjoying it. Ralph and Rantoul.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Hey, you brought up you invoked the coven word. I take offense to you even obliquely referring to Michelle as a harridan or her followers. She's really more of a succubus, Dan.
Okay, all right. Oh, no, did you want to explain that, or you just want to leave it there?
No, I think that's the word for the day, and but I do admire her in one way because I think she could palm a basketball, and I know I can't.
Thanks for the call, Ralph. She does bear striking resemblance to an NBA great. Chris in Elmwood Park.
Yes, I find it ironic. On her podcast, she's embracing her black hair and braids, but on the cover of People magazine this week, she's got the white lady straight hair. What a hypocrite.
Well, yeah, the whole hair thing is like, it's just such an invented thing. Whatever. Nobody cares. You're so put upon. No. She's speaking for the every woman, the every black woman. She can afford it. But, she's also said previously that, her hair and makeup teams, that those are exhausting too. Everything is exhausting to her. Just getting through the day being Michelle Obama is just so exhausting, as the weight of the world is on her shoulders, and then she's got to combat this fictional honky patriarchy that's holding her and Barack down. The ironic thing about her is what she really projects as an inferiority complex, isn't it? That's what she projects. She's a very sort of sad, empty kind of person. That's why she's angry all the time. And it's the same hobby horses that she rides over and over again. So tired. And she's still not proud of our country, but she'll let you know. She's still mad at you. You just heard her. You ain't ready, and it's your fault. She's talking to her own supporters in the audience. Okay. Like I said, don't stop. I did want to get to this, too. Got a little sidetracked with the women leaving. But, I mean, it is like, why Dan Prof to sing? It's just so much work because you have to wade through the 40%. It'd be different if they just all put on, wore stickers like they do on some of their profiles that say, I hate Trump and I won't talk to anybody who's ever voted for Trump. Okay, fine. Just so then everybody can move quickly past you. But otherwise, you don't know. You can accidentally be thrown into interaction with them, and then look at all that time you've wasted. And who wants to waste even a moment entertaining that? Bill Ackman, the billionaire financier, fresh off the Mamdani disappointment. I hear from many young men they find it difficult to meet young women in a public setting. In other words, the online culture has destroyed the ability to spontaneously meet strangers. As such, I thought I would share a few words that I used in my youth to meet someone that I found compelling. Bill Ackman likes to weigh in on a lot of topics. Yeah, I guess if you make your first $10 billion, it gets sort of bored. But anyway, his advice: listen. I would ask, may I meet you before engaging further in a conversation? I almost never got a no. Inevitably enabled the opportunity for further conversation. I met a lot of really interesting people this way. Did you meet people or did you meet women, Bill? But I digress. I think the combination of proper grammar and politeness was the key to its effectiveness. You might give it a try. You mean instead of, yo, what up? Okay. And he goes on to say, and yes, I think it should also work for women seeking men as well as same-sex interactions. Oh boy, it's got universal application. Just 2 cents from an older, happily married guy concerned about our next generation's happiness and population replacement rates. Although, just a point of order, Bill Ackman is happily married to wife number 2. Number 2. Okay. Uh-huh. Well, this is may or may not be good news from Olga. This is an interesting approach. She set up a full page that gives real details that go beyond your customary dating profile kind of thing. I mean, it's pages and pages long, and it's got a lot of pictures of her and various activities, reading, hiking, so on and so forth. Gives the height, weight, the typical questions. Here's the personal appeal. So she put some real thought into it. It's not just sort of try to be kitschy or clever with a quip or two. My body is a tad too small to contain all my emotion. I'm unusually open-minded, passionate, relentless, and can find beauty just about everywhere I look. I haven't been bored in at least a decade and have little to no chill. I'm an archetypical woman of chaos, which suggests I might get on best with someone more orderly. I can promise that life with me will never be boring. As I grow older, I get better at making the most of it while reducing the downsides. Film and philosophy has always attracted me. In the last few years, I've become a kind of living artistic instrument. My memory isn't great, but I'm working with my way to erudition. Oh, good word. And I'm always keen to learn. Irony over sarcasm, and I'm more a girl of puns and other dumb jokes. I'm prone to overdressing for occasions. Can't take the Russian out of the girl. I own a beautiful home by the Danube, which I've turned into a kind of sanctuary, filling it with art, books, and beautiful objects. So beware, to make beautiful things, I surround myself with beautiful things. But Vienna kind of sucks. There are no interesting people here. And my plan is to relocate somewhere as soon as I've determined a destination. I have a British passport and can probably get myself over to the U.S. with a little effort, so I'm not terribly bound by paperwork. Here we go. Not for me, but we've got, so who's ever first in line in the 15 to 44 group that wants to leave, that 40%, we'll swap you out. Maybe you can get a deal on Olga's place on the Danube in Vienna, and we'll bring Olga in. She sounds like a perfectly suitable mate for somebody. Tim in Woodstock.
Hi, good morning, Dan. I like your idea about swapping these people out because I think for the most part you'd be swapping out the ungrateful for grateful people. I think largely people who would come here legally, immigrate to our country, would have a sense of gratefulness and appreciation. They'd want to fold in with American values rather than like these girls that are taught to be ungrateful. They're taught to complain. They're taught to be a victim. And Michelle Obama is just the poster child for that. I mean, she's complaining in her book, The Look, about the struggles of putting on her makeup, not being able to wear clothes off the rack, how tough life was in the White House. Oh, it just reeks of ungratefulness.
Thanks for the call, Tim. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the forthcoming Obama Netflix series. You know, the insufferable drama of being Michelle Obama. You see what I did there? And that's off the cuff. That's pretty good. Coming up at 7:07, we'll tour the world with Stephen Bucci, starting with Mexican drug cartels. Now 7 o'clock, AM 560 WIND.
Air travel getting back to normal just ahead of the Thanksgiving rush. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. With the government back open since last Wednesday night, the FAA 2 hours ago lifted flight restrictions that had been imposed for safety reasons at 40 major airports. When some air traffic controllers who had to work without pay weren't going, some took second jobs.
Flight cuts started at 4%, growing to 6%, then pulled back to 3% this past Friday as staffing levels were getting back to normal post-shutdown. Cancellations reached a peak on November 9th. More than 2,900 flights were canceled, some of those due to weather. There were 464 over the weekend. That's not out of the ordinary.
That's Fox's Chris Foster. So far today, just 31 flights canceled. And speaking of Thanksgiving, AAA just predicted that record holiday travel is coming. Nearly 82 million people going somewhere. Most of them will be driving, though. President Trump keeps calling the simmering Jeffrey Epstein controversy a hoax perpetrated by Democrats and had urged Republicans not to fall into the trap. Well, last night on Truth Social, a different approach. He wrote, House Republicans should vote to release the files from the Epstein underage girls sex trafficking scheme, adding they have nothing to hide. That vote could come tomorrow, and GOP Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna tells Fox,
I will be voting for it, but to be clear, I think that the American people understand that right now, everything that the Democrats have tried to say that, Trump was somehow implicated is completely false.
The Justice Department's investigating, and the president also wrote he's looking at former President Clinton and other Democrats. President Trump also keeps focusing on the economy. Fox's Mark Meredith reports from the White House.
Trying to address what's happening with prices on everything from prescription drugs to ground beef prices. The president was talking about this last night to reporters, and he says he is aware that food is on top of people's minds, especially given Thanksgiving is 10 days away, but he believes costs are going down, especially compared to years prior.
The problem with the Democrats, they lie. They do it so well. They talk about affordability, but I'm the one that's getting the prices down.
The U.S. military blew up another boat suspected of smuggling illegal drugs off the South American coast. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 35 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. There's some good news for travelers this morning. The FAA has announced that it has ended the mandatory restriction of flights. The Federal Aviation Administration had required a major reduction of flights due to a lack of air traffic controllers during the government shutdown. 40 airports across the nation faced cuts, including Chicago's Midway and O'Hare airports. O'Hare was one of several hub airports to bear the brunt of the cuts, which caused significant delays. Airline officials say they're optimistic about airline travel as we head into the Thanksgiving holiday next week. A student at the University of Chicago has been named a Rhodes Scholar. Tori Harris will be studying at Oxford University in England next fall. Harris is the 56th student from the University of Chicago to be named a Rhodes Scholar. Her goal is to earn master's degrees in African Studies and Archaeology. And iconic civil rights leader Reverend Jesse Jackson's family say he is not on life support, despite reports over the weekend that he was. Instead, the family states that Jackson is in stable condition and is breathing on his own. Jackson had been admitted to the hospital last week. He's suffering from a neurological disorder called progressive supranuclear palsy. And a man has been arrested for robbing a staffer of Illinois Senate President Don Harmon in his office last week. Harmon released a statement thanking Oak Park police for their assistance in apprehending the suspect who walked into Harmon's office and robbed the female staffer at knife point. That staffer was unharmed. This report is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago on December 26th on their The Ghost of Christmas Eve 2025 tour. Enter to win tickets and the grand prize of a 75-inch TV, a home stereo system, and a $1,000 gift card. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/TSO.
Let me take a moment to talk about my friends at QC Kinetics. They're helping so many listeners regain their mobility free from joint pain. Does this sound like you? Where every time you move, it's a reminder of what hurts? A reminder of how far you've drifted from the life you once had? Well, relief is closer than you think, and it doesn't have to come from surgery. At QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli and her team tap into your body's own regenerative power using natural healing factors that help restore and repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and relieve pain at its source. Stop masking the pain. Let QC Kinetics help you regain what pain took away. And this Veterans Day, QC Kinetics is giving back to our heroes. Veterans will get $500 off their treatment. And for every non-veteran who starts care, QC Kinetics will donate $500 to the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a great time to book your free consultation to learn how QC Kinetics can help. Call 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Once more, that phone number, 312-827-6261, and tell them I sent you when you call.
The children of our nation know little to nothing about 9/11, but the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute is righting this wrong by helping teachers educate kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction first-person accounts are told through videos and the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full scripted curriculum units with background for teachers, a speakers bureau for classrooms, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts and FDNY guides. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Dr. Halbert here. Are you tired of standing in front of the pain aisle wondering which product really works? That's exactly why I invented Blue Stop. It took me 10 years to perfect Blue Stop's unique and effective formula. As a surgeon, I saw how stiff joints, sore muscles, and body aches kept too many people from enjoying life. Blue Stop works fast, absorbs quick, and smells great. No prescription, no waiting. It's on the shelf right now at Walmart. Feel the difference.
Don't get stuck with a cold shower this fall. Give CenterGuard Plumbing a call. Get a new 40-gallon water heater installed for just $1,195 for standard installation, or a 50-gallon heater for $1,295 standard installation. A proud new sponsor of AM 560, CenterGuard is offering specials on new water heaters. Don't wait. The cold temperatures are coming, and the same can happen to your water heater. If you're having hot water issues or your water heater's over 8 years old, take advantage of this fall special today. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon, and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. They'll even haul away your old one, no charge. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive fall special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit CenterGuardPlumbing.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Still in great shape on the Eden in both directions. From Lake Cook to Montrose, it's 15 minutes. The Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, 29 minutes. Outbound is 28. The northbound Tri-State slows down as you approach the outbound Eisenhower. And the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office is 27 minutes. Outbound is 19. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 28 minutes. Outbound is 20. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange is 20, outbound is 12. On the Bishop Ford, the entrance and exit ramp to Doty Avenue, that is shut down for construction. And then watch out for a collision in Elk Grove Village on Route 83 at Oakton Street. This report is a service of AM 560 Store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Croft University and the Sean Thompson Show, when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, expect sunny skies early, giving way to more clouds later on with a high of 48. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with some rain moving in late and a low of 41. Tomorrow will bring occasional rain and drizzle with a high of 46. By Wednesday, anticipate overcast skies with a high of 46. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Over the weekend, some pretty significant protests in Mexico after a rash of cartel assassinations of local elected officials. Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, what exactly is her long-term political prognosis? Is that regime teetering? Rob Boyd is sheriff of Goliad County, Texas, which is in southeastern Texas. He had this to say, given his experience relatively near the border with the cartels and the situation in Mexico.
The thing about it is you have to look at the cartel like this. Cartel is water, and they're going to take the path of least resistance. So when you shut off one avenue for getting things in, they're going to find another avenue. I think that those actions that you speak of go more towards forcing the Mexican government to actually do something. The problem is the cartels and the government of Mexico have been in business for quite some time, that they're now to the point of almost being indistinguishable, because the Mexican government is directly involved in the narcotics trade as well. And we've seen that firsthand in some of our investigations where the drugs weren't coming from the cartels. The drugs were actually coming from members of the Mexican government. And so I think that the only way to get Mexico to move and do something is to put those pressures on them. But you also have to realize, kind of like when we gave all that money to the Mexican government to go after the Sinaloa cartel, did they go after the Sinaloa cartel? No, they went to the Sinaloa cartel and said, hey, we need to show the Americans that we're actually doing something. Who are the people you want eliminated? And so we basically spent our tax dollars in America to try to eliminate the Sinaloa cartel, and the Mexican government used that money to help the Sinaloa cartel eliminate their competition. So if we're going to deal with the Mexican government, it has to be purely in a punitive measure. It can't be in a form of a grant or assets, because if you send it south of the border, it's going to be used for the benefit of the cartels.
The protests over alleged corruption left more than 100 officers injured. And it was following the assassination of a mayor who accused the president of failing to crack down on the cartels, and he wasn't the only one. Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. He's a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us.
It's always great to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
So since instability in Mexico is visited north into our country, what do you make of what Sheriff Boyd had to say about the only way to deal with the Mexican government and the cartels, and the two are indistinguishable, is punitively? And I think he's implying that we haven't been punitive enough yet.
Yeah, that's exactly what the sheriff is saying. And I have to tell you, having worked on the federal level on the border, we need to listen a little more to sheriffs like that gentleman and their assessment of it before we make decisions on what policies to follow. I'm not saying that every sheriff down there is the smartest guy in the world, but look, that fellow you just listened to sounds pretty reasonable, pretty spot on, experientially based assessment of how to move forward. They need to have a seat at the table as we make these decisions. It's tough to do what he's saying. You know, you can not talk to the local police in a situation like that across the border, but just blowing off the federal government or going after them is a tougher lift. You know, they're the ones that the Mexican people have decided should lead their country. Just ignoring them, or more so going after them, you know, that's regime change. That's potentially acts of war. I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, you know, but we need to do it with some caution and some nuance rather than, you know, just bellicosity. That's just not necessarily gonna help us. So we need to do something. I agree completely with the sheriff on that, and it's probably not just giving them money or giving them a couple of guys to do some training, because there's character issues here, sort of embedded corruption that is you just can't ignore, and that means you can't let some of those folks at the table, or they'll know exactly what you're doing. They'll help the other guys.
Well, I mean, I guess it's the predicate assertion that needs to be established. Is Sheinbaum working for the cartels?
You know, looking at it thus far, I won't say it's a slam dunk she's working for the cartels, but she is not really making the kind of effort we need her to make against the cartels if we're going to see any sort of progress. And look, I'm the first to admit she's got a tough job. It's dangerous to get any public position, you know, because if you don't get in bed with the cartels, you know, they're not just going to leave a horse head in your bed. They're going to leave your head in the bed. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, that takes a lot of courage to do that. But she's not coming across as a huge law and order candidate thus far. Let's put it that way.
So the investigation into Butler, Pennsylvania, like the Epstein files, this won't go away. And in part, it's because, I would argue, the way the administration has chosen to handle it. We've talked quite a bit about Epstein. I want to talk about the would-be Butler, Pennsylvania assassin who tried to take out President Trump, as we all know. So Tucker Carlson, and, you know, I have my issues with Tucker Carlson lately on a whole range of topics, including and most prominently Israel. But, I mean, he makes a point that is true with respect to a piece he recently did about the assassin, the would-be assassin's communications online, the footprint he left online, and why we haven't got, I mean, it's in the obvious question is, why haven't we gotten sort of a public debriefing on this, like an after-action report? Here's what we know. Here, even if we still have unknown questions. It's been a year and a half. We know almost nothing other than where he was stationed and how he got up there and how close he came to killing President Trump. This was Tucker Carlson's riff on it in part, and it drew a response from the FBI director, and I just want to set this up and get your expertise.
These remarks were especially notable because they came at the final phase of Crooks's YouTube commenting. At that point, a new character emerged into the conversation, a user named Willie Tepes, who started pressuring Crooks to commit violence. For example, quote, "If a gun and a badge is all that is needed, then authority obviously comes from the barrel of a gun. We have more guns than they do. There is no way we can avoid a war at this point, so you better just get used to the idea. We have nothing to lose and everything to win. And the alternative, a global police state, is unacceptable. Nothing in life is simple, but that is no argument against doing it." So who is this Willie Tepes? Unfortunately, we don't know. The FBI hasn't made any mention of him in public, although they certainly know he exists. Just days after the shooting, somebody screenshotted Tepes' YouTube account page, despite the fact he had very few followers. To the extent that he can be traced online now, you can find his username being used on a foreign Antifa website. Those sites link him to the Nordic Resistance Movement, which has been designated a terrorist group by the U.S. State Department. That's all we know. We do know, however, that Crooks' online footprint abruptly ends after his encounter with this mysterious figure, Willie Tepes. Regardless of whoever Willie Tepes is or was and what his motives may have been, who he may have been working for, there is no doubt that Crooks was ripe for recruitment by someone. From early 2019 to mid-2020, as his political views were evolving, Crooks searched for Trump more than 700 times online. He also searched for Jack Ruby, the man who assassinated Lee Harvey Oswald. He then submitted queries for craziest chemical reactions, cars running over protesters, best places for mass shooting El Paso, Trump Civil War, Orlando shooting reaction, firing an AR-15 as fast as possible, fertilizer bomb, how to make napalm, how to make a Molotov cocktail, mass shooting Canada, Oklahoma bombing, and sniper in Dallas shooting. He also searched for American Nazi Party, German National Anthem 1933-1945, Hitler's speeches with subtitles, neo-Nazis, and, quote, why gays need to go.
Now, Tucker posted about this, saying the FBI told us Thomas Crooks tried to kill Trump last summer, but somehow had no online footprint. FBI responded, saying the FBI has never said Thomas Crooks had no online footprint. Never. And then that drew Kash Patel to provide more detail on this in terms of the investigation to date. Here's his overview. Over 480 FBI employees were involved in the Thomas Crooks investigations. Employees conducted over 1,000 interviews, addressed over 2,000 public tips, analyzed data extracted from 13 seized digital devices, reviewed nearly 500,000 digital files, collected, processed, and synchronized hundreds of hours of video footage, analyzed financial activity from 10 different accounts, and examined data associated with 25 social media or online forum accounts. The FBI's investigation into Thomas Crooks identified and examined over 20 online accounts, data extracted from over a dozen electronic devices, examination of numerous financial accounts, over 1,000 interviews, and 2,000 public tips. The investigation conducted by 480 employees revealed Crooks had limited online and in-person interactions, planned and conducted the attack alone, and did not leak or share his intent to engage in this attack with anyone. So, of course, the issue is, let me put what the issue is actually in the words of somebody who replied to Kash Patel, because I think this is where a lot of people are at. A year and a half after the fact, we get one X post explaining away the entire incident with no new details and a petulant tone, seemingly annoyed that everyone wants to know what and how a child with 6 phones, multiple encrypted messenger accounts, and a person seemingly groomed by a foreigner ended up trying to kill the President of the United States. Apologies for wanting to know the facts. Get a clue, Kash. This is not what you promised us prior to the election. Your reaction to all that, Stephen Bucci?
Well, on one hand, and this is not, I have absolutely no knowledge of this, I'm not saying I do, but when they do these kind of investigations, number one, they always take longer than us normal humans think they should.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we go and do a couple of Google searches, we can do it in 5 minutes. What the heck's the problem with the FBI?
Right,
They do things to a much different standard. And two, particularly if there is any international component to it, as at least that one account they looked at seemed to indicate. They're not going to tell us what's going on until they're completely done. And I know that drives everybody crazy, but when you're doing potentially a counter-espionage kind of investigation, they don't share any of that. And anybody who thinks they will just because we pound the desk and say, we have a right to know, sorry, you don't. Not until they're done with the investigation.
Well,
that's just complete speculation. I don't know that's what they're doing, but
but the problem
factors.
But the problem is that a Tucker Carlson report prompts a response from the FBI and then a response from the FBI director. So if you could respond to Tucker Carlson raising the specter of these questions and setting the record straight as you see it, then you could have done so preemptively. And when you don't do things preemptively that you clearly are willing to disclose because you disclose them, it breeds mistrust.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't have responded to Tucker Carlson at all. I think Tucker's kind of gone off the deep end.
Well, I know, but he's. I agree, but that doesn't mean he's wrong about everything, and he's not wrong about what he said about crooks, and just in terms of what's in the public domain. Now, that may not, that may not cut against the conclusion that Kash Patel posted on X, but I mean. But a lot of people don't even know, because they haven't been paying attention to the details of what is in the public domain that Tucker compiled. And we haven't heard from Kash or the FBI on this. And, the other thing, too, is just setting Tucker aside. We talked to Thomas Baker, who led the investigation into the Reagan assassination attempt with Hinckley Jr. And he told us, here's what we did. We knew we were on a clock. We knew that we were going to. The American public wanted answers to what this happened, how the Secret Service failed, if there was a failure, how this guy got so close to the president, all the obvious questions, who this guy was, what his motivations were, so forth. So we put a team, we took every piece of evidence we could. I'm sure what the FBI did here, too, based on what Kash is saying, and I have no reason to not believe him about that. And then we said, and after a relatively a short period of time, I think it was under 6 months, they said, here's all the things that we've collected and done and all the avenues that we've investigated. And here's our best understanding of what happened and why it happened, knowing that there may be information that comes out that informs our opinion because nothing's 100%. But at least here is a credible explanation of what we think happened and why it happened. And if you want to pick at it and kick it apart or ask additional questions, then fine. And that breeds trust. And I just don't understand why, especially this administration, doesn't act more like the Reagan administration and what Thomas Baker and his team did back then.
Well, there's two aspects to it. One, it's kind of impossible to compare what they did during the Reagan assassination attempt and this, because the world has completely changed. They didn't have the internet back then. They didn't have social media back then. They didn't have any of that stuff that, frankly, many times does provide insight, but also provides a lot of, fog on the battlefield kind of stuff that means absolutely nothing, but people love to read into. On the other end of it, we don't know that they're done yet. There is still potentially stuff going on that they cannot yet compromise by doing a public outpouring like you're calling for. Look, I want to know.
Although, I mean, sorry to interrupt, but Kash did make a definitive statement that he acted alone, so they have drawn a conclusion.
Well, that based on what they know thus far, that doesn't mean they're done investigating.
Right. True.
And the other aspect is, remember, this initial incident happened during the last administration. Then after President Trump was elected and all these people came in, there's a handoff of information that we don't know if it was complete. We don't know if there was stuff that was going on in the last administration that's now been essentially hidden. We don't know any of that. But it becomes much more difficult when you switch, particularly from the Department of Justice and the FBI that was in place before the election and the two organizations that are in place now. They're different organizations. and that makes that investigation that much more difficult and frankly imprecise. So I would say I don't mind people pressuring, hey, we need to know, but don't start, coming up with all these explanations that are frankly not based in fact. They're complete speculation, at least the understanding of the things that have been found by people like Tucker and his research team. But we need to, if we elected this guy and he put these people in place, we need to have some degree of trust that they're different than the people before them, and hopefully they'll come up with what it is and then let us know what it is, unless there's some overriding reason not to. And I can't divine what that might be. I would like to know the details, and I think most Americans would, but I don't think it's time to start reading into it and trying to, I'm sorry, Tucker's going for clickbait here. And
I understand, but it doesn't mean that, it's just what you said is it's not so much about Tucker, it's about cash, and it's about, we're a year and a half after, and we want updates that provide some scope like Kash Patel gave. As I said, he shouldn't have to be prompted by Tucker to give the information that he was clearly ready to give in response to Tucker.
Yeah, fair enough. That's why I think it's okay to pressure them and say, we want to know, and make that demand through all of the means we have available. But I think you go a step too far when people start saying, well, since you didn't tell us, it looks awful lot like this and it looks like that.
No, I
this
agree.
Could be involved.
Yeah.
And that just causes problems with all the loony people that are out there who are just looking for that kind of stuff to glom onto.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer, top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And Stephen joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The holidays are upon us nearly, and that means it's time once again to kick off our annual Food for the Poor campaign. This is our effort to help provide life-saving food to children and families in Latin America and the Caribbean, where families and communities may have little or no access to food, safe water, and the basics of life. The perfect storm of poverty, lack of infrastructure, destructive natural disasters has made life impossible for many families. As we've talked about over the many years, we've partnered with Food for the Poor, and they're unique, even in the worst of circumstances in some of these countries, because they built the infrastructure over many decades. And so it's one of the few organizations that 90% of what's raised goes directly to the clients, and they have already made the investments in infrastructure to ensure that the food and the water gets to said clients in Central America mainly. So this is why we're partnering with Food for the Poor, which is a faith-based nonprofit relief organization. They work directly with partners on the ground in Latin America and the Caribbean to operate feeding centers. And this relationship ensures that the money raised during the campaign is used to effectively get food and water to children who need it most. Food for the Poor has been doing this kind of work that I'm describing for more than 40 years in 17 countries around the world. They've fed millions of people and provided more than $15 billion in aid. $15 billion with a B. Check them out on Charity Navigator for yourself. They're reputable, transparent with how they raise and spend money. Your gift of just $150 can provide food and water for 2 children for an entire year. For a gift of $300, you can provide food and water for 4 children for an entire year. That's the impact your gift can have. To make a gift of any amount, you just call 844-862-4673, 844-862-4673, or visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. And we are doing our business benefactor program again this year, and the donor leadership from businesses is the key to making our goals and providing as much as we can to support the work of Food for the Poor. So here's how it works. You make a tax-deductible gift of $2,500 to Food for the Poor, and AM 560 gives you, your business, 41-minute commercials to air on this station Monday through Friday, prime broadcast hours between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. It's the best marketing deal in all of Chicago radio. At the same time, you're providing life-saving food for more than 50 children in Latin America and the Caribbean. To become a business benefactor, just call John Gallagher at 847-472-8950. Again, the Business Benefactor Program, $2,500 tax-deductible donation. You get 41-minute commercials to market your business on our airwaves and prime broadcasting hours. And to enroll, you call John Gallagher at 847-472-8950. That number again, 847-472-8950.
Are you tired of tech headaches slowing your business down? Unique Computing Solutions has been the go-to IT team for businesses in Illinois and Northwest Indiana for nearly 30 years. Your systems should be running smoothly, your data secured, and your communications streamlined. Visit our website today at uniquecomputingsolutions.com. That's uniquecomputingsolutions.com. uniquecomputingsolutions.com. Your IT challenges solved.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 7:37, we'll talk to former CPS CEO Paul Vallas about that IG report on CPS's lavish travel and lodging spend, as well as, unfortunately, a Don Harmon staffer is victimized by the policies that Don Harmon, the Senate president, has enacted into law. 7:37 with Paul Vallas. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 38 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Just days after leaving Chicago, Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino posted on his social media sites that ICE agents have arrested more than 80 illegal aliens from Charlotte, North Carolina. Meanwhile, federal agents have left their Illinois command center at Naval Station Great Lakes, and Texas National Guard troops are said to be leaving in the next several days. Officials say this does not mean Operation Midway Blitz has ended, though, as ICE agents are expected to remain here in Chicago. And a United Airlines flight from Dallas to Chicago was forced to make an emergency landing yesterday. Fox's Ted Linder explains why.
The emergency landing happening after a passenger claimed there was a bomb in his wife's luggage. It turned out to be a hoax. Bomb and arson teams descended on the plane after the unscheduled landing at St. Louis's Lambert International Airport and searched the Boeing 737 for 2 hours. The man at the center of the hoax was arrested. The flight then took off from St. Louis in the afternoon and landed safely in Chicago. Ted Linder, Fox News.
This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again. Not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560. The Answer.
Larry Elder lays out what has happened in the last 10 months.
The economy is going just about at 4%. Compared to how it's been recently, staggering. Inflation still too high, but it's now under 3%. Gas prices are approaching a 4-year low. Borders sealed. Ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel, or at least the hostages are back. What an exciting time to be alive.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, it's Scott Tucker, and I'm here with
Amy Jacobson
from Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker and Amy Jacobson here on AM 560 The Answer. Now, I'm a financial advisor, and Amy's the co-host for our program. You know, Amy, recently President Trump signed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. A lot of folks aren't realizing, Amy, that if they have highly appreciated assets, they can potentially tax defer the capital gains tax, place that money into a qualified opportunity fund, and then 10 years from now, get back out of that investment and pay no capital gains tax on either investment. Have you heard of such a thing, Amy?
I did not know about that. That seemed to be hidden in the bill.
It's only 900 some pages.
Yeah,
we have to pass it to see what's in it.
An easy beach read, yes.
Yes. And now there's another thing in the bill as well, Amy. Section 1202. Amy, did you read Section 1202?
I did not, but thank you for the homework assignment.
If you're a small business owner, many small business owners can now sell their small business and potentially pay no federal capital gains taxes on that capital gain of selling their business.
Wow.
If you'd like to get a free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Text the keyword book. That's BOOK to 224-496-3999. Text the keyword book to 224-496-3999. In addition to a free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? You'll also get our entire Retirement Decoded toolkit. We'll also give you the opportunity to talk to us 15 minutes for free over the telephone at another time so we can go through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act with you, show you how to potentially sell your highly appreciated assets and pay no federal capital gains tax, how qualified opportunity funds work, and also if you're a small business owner, how to potentially pay no capital gains on the sale of your small business through Section 1202, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Text book to 224-496-3999 or call that very same number, 224-496-3999.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm does not offer tax advice.
Let me take a moment to talk about my friends at QC Kinetics. They're helping so many listeners regain their mobility free from joint pain. Does this sound like you? Where every time you move, it's a reminder of what hurts? A reminder of how far you've drifted from the life you once had? Well, relief is closer than you think, and it doesn't have to come from surgery. At QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli and her team tap into your body's own regenerative power using natural healing factors that help restore and repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and relieve pain at its source. Stop masking the pain. Let QC Kinetics help you regain what pain took away. And this Veterans Day, QC Kinetics is giving back to our heroes. Veterans will get $500 off their treatment, and for every non-veteran who starts care, QC Kinetics will donate $500 to the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a great time to book your free consultation to learn how QC Kinetics can help. Call 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Once more, that phone number, 312-827-6261, and tell them I sent you when you call.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best, better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Troubles on the Eisenhower stop and go inbound as you make your way towards Sacramento Boulevard. Then the exit ramp to get off onto Sacramento Boulevard is closed with late running construction. So the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 33 minutes. Outbound, though, still looks good at 16. The Kennedy is a little bit slow both ways. Inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange, 33 minutes. Outbound is 32. The Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 29 minutes. Outbound is 20. And you've got 23 minutes inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Outbound is 11. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Looking for affordable blinds, shades, or shutters for your home? Don't hire an expensive pro. Check out Blindster.com, where they offer custom-made window coverings at guaranteed low prices with a team of pros ready to help you every step of the way. Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, expect sunny skies giving way to more clouds later on with a high of 48. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with some rain arriving late and a low of 41. Tomorrow will bring periods of rain and drizzle with a high of 46. Wednesday will see lingering low clouds with a high of 46. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Steve Daniels is a member of the Tribune editorial board, apparently. Don't know him. And, occasionally the Tribune editorial board stumbles into at least half of an insight. And so we have that here, a conversation that he had with Paris Schutz on Fox about all these stalled projects in the Fulton Market neighborhood. Seemingly the one neighborhood, West Loop, that is burgeoning because it's got a lot of young people and upwardly mobile professionals, and they bought condos, or their parents bought one for them, and they're going out to eat at restaurants and bars and all that jazz, like, we used to do when the city was thriving in many, many neighborhoods. So why the projects that were green-lighted, why are they stalling? Well, I know it's probably Nixon's fault and Trump's fault and the fault of systemic racism and the white man and transphobia and the lack of a corporate head tax and lack of a graduated state income tax and lack of proper funding for CPS so that they can enjoy travels to Eastern Europe and the dark continent to learn best practices about how to educate the kids, to deliver on that promise of an enriching, fulfilling education, which they're doing a bang-up job at providing. But Steve Daniels now, Tribune Ed Board. So this is the left talking to the left, which is usually the conversation we have in Chicago.
Was it 21 projects that are slated, got the green light, and they just can't get off the ground?
By our count, yeah. Well, what we understand is it's really, there's a number of reasons that developments have struggled. I mean, one of the things, interest rates, financials that people are familiar with, but that's not what's really holding in the neighborhood back. It is just a crisis of confidence on the part of people who invest in these projects, and we're talking about equity investors in real estate projects.
So it's not just your old banks and institutions. They're getting equity.
These are institutional investors that specialize in real estate financing. The banks will follow along as you get the equity. And so the problem these developers are having is they're having trouble getting the equity investments, which a greater portion of what you need to finance these things is now coming from equity because banks have cut back on how much they're willing to lend and percentage-wise to get a project built.
So they're not happy with the Johnson administration and his handling of city finances?
Yeah, I mean, it's just concern about the city's future. Like, what if we do a pro forma based on these financials and these taxes, and then 3 or 4 years, 5 years down the line, we look to exit the investment and make our money back? What are the taxes going to be then? And right now, they have no way of predicting that and basically assume it's going to be bad, and whatever pro forma we wrote back 5 years ago is going to be obsolete, and essentially this was not an investment worth making.
So is it property taxes they're most concerned about, even though the mayor is not proposing a hike in property taxes? But given the structural problems of the city, it would seem to be that at some point they're going to have to go up.
Right. Property taxes is a big one for sure for a real estate development. The head tax that the mayor has proposed on corporations doesn't directly affect apartment buildings, but does make you worry about the future economy of the city. So, and then whatever else they come up with. I mean, if these things don't work.
The social media tax.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the
just
breathing tax.
Too much uncertainty. Business of all kinds, whether real estate investment or just selling you widgets, what they want is some kind of predictability. And you're never going to get complete predictability in any world, including the business world, but you want some line of sight into what the future holds. And Chicago, under this mayor, doesn't give these guys enough of that.
Oh, but I thought the uncertainty is part of the fun, the guessing game. And then, to help deal with the uncertainty, then you just play the insider rent-seeking game and get your special deal, and then a lot of that uncertainty goes away if you're a preferred person or a contractor or a vendor. Boy, I'll tell you what, when Paris Schutz is lampooning the tax and spend culture in Chicago and Illinois, saying the tax on breathing, when you've lost Paris Schutz, how about that? And by the way, that uncertainty is not limited to BJ. It also includes JB, which I know the Chicago Political Press Corps dutifully tries to avoid, but substantively you cannot if you're being honest. For more on this and other Illinois policy-related matters, Paul Vallis, Senior Policy Advisor at Illinois Policy Institute, writes weekly for the Chicago Contrarian, former CEO of CPS and candidate for mayor, of course. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So apparently things are a little opaque for the real estate developers and other business interests that may or may not want to stay or do deals in Chicago.
Well, look, why would anybody want to do a deal in Chicago, for that matter, Illinois? Illinois now ranks as number one in terms of combined taxes and fees. We're number one. In fact, we're not only ahead of all the 50 states, but we're ahead of the District of Columbia. So at the and you know, the Pritzker has raised taxes and fees 55 times since taking office in 2019. That generates about over $7 billion a year, and that's despite having squandered $14 billion in COVID money. And of course, the city taxes on commercial property in the city of Chicago are the highest in the nation. And of course, now the mayor wants to impose a head tax, regardless of what type of income, and whether or not the businesses are even generating a profit. And of course, Chicago already has the highest cloud tax, which is a tax on computer services, the use of computers, etc. It's at, I think, 11%. He wants to raise it to 14%. So this is absolute madness. So you wonder why businesses aren't investing, or why 1.6 million people have left the state since 20,000, and it has significantly accelerated since Pritzker took office. Those are the reasons. Those, and of course, terrible schools, what forces people, if they have the means, to basically pay an exorbitant amount of money to privately educate their children.
Well, but I saw that BLM Brandon, too. I mean, he's having problems finding a constituency. He was at the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, a conference that they hosted. I think it was here in Chicago. I don't even think he needed to go to Finland for it, which was nice. National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, which I believe is an offshoot of the National Confederation Against Dog Molesters and Public Defecation. Anyway, he tried to speak at his, appointed time, and then this happened.
So, family, I introduce to you all Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Give it up for Mayor Brandon Johnson. Yeah.
Thank you.
Then they stormed the stage.
Thank you all very much.
And they wouldn't let him speak.
Let the mayor speak. Let the mayor speak. Let the mayor speak. Let the mayor speak. Let the mayor speak. Let the mayor speak. Let the mayor
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're not getting a chance, you're getting shouted down. You're Brandon Johnson, and you're getting shouted down at the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression when you're just about to complain against Trump, complain about Trump, and they won't even let you do that. That's a bad position.
Yeah, well, there was footage all over social media of one speaker after another, and talking about a delusional deranged group. I mean, it was like Bizarro World. It was the most, it was the strangest thing you ever saw. But the mayor would have just given what has essentially been his campaign speech, which seems to be his response to everything. And let me point out that I was watching on social media because the Chicago Teachers Union is constantly posting interviews with their individual members, and incidentally, teachers, most of whom look like they are totally unfit to teach children, by the way. So they're definitely not selecting the individuals out of central casting. But then they're always like paraphrasing the mayor. But there was the mayor again, really saying that this is it's a choice. His budget is a choice between a tax between taxing working people and taxing corporations and the rich. The bottom line is this is an extremely regressive budget, both from a programmatic side and a tax side, because what is he taxing? I mean, he's taxing the use of technology, computer work, computer services. He's imposing a head tax on the number of business employees. And of course, he's raising this congestion tax. This is all a tax on working people. So it's just BS. But it's amazing the way the media doesn't challenge him on his rhetoric because he's really getting away with murder.
Where were those when CTU was interviewing their members? Were those interviews done in Beaver Creek or Lake Tahoe?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'll tell you, even the story. There's sometimes the story about about the junkets, right, and about the doubling of the money spent on going to exotic foreign places. Obviously, within the United States, the favorite destination was, of course, Las Vegas. But what was missing from that story was that this dramatic increase in travel occurred during COVID when schools were shut down, if you remember. So they were going to exotic places. Maybe that's why they weren't meeting in Illinois and having their conferences, because you had this, because of Pritzker's 41 resolutions that effectively shut down the economy.
They travel to keep their skills sharp. This was all professional development, and it shows because now they've come back and year after year since COVID, they're getting the 99% excellent ratings from each other in terms of the classroom performance.
Well, what they've done is they've returned to social promotion. But let me point out that during that period that schools were shut down, during the 2 years that the 78 straight weeks of schools being shut down straddled, there were almost 900 children, school-age children who were shot in the city of Chicago. Over 900 and well over 100 who died. In fact, this year alone, I think the number of children who have been shot I think it's approaching 154 wounded, and I believe it's 44 murdered. So while they were out doing their junkets during COVID, the 300,000 plus kids who were at home for 78 consecutive weeks, many of those kids were the victims of violent crimes, and close to 8 to 9% of those individuals arrested for murder by the Chicago Police Department during that period, and the crime lab reported this, were actually out-of-school youth, and well over 50% of the individuals who carjacked were out-of-school youth. So while they were whining and dining, there was a record increase in violence against and violent acts by out-of-school age youth.
Well, that's a manufactured crisis. Juliana Stratton told me that, and and crime is down, and that's all you need to know. But speaking of crime, this happened in Oak Park yesterday, outside of Senate President Don Harmon's district office.
An armed robbery outside Illinois State Senator Don Harmon's office. It happened Friday evening at Harmon's office on North Avenue in Oak Park. According to court records, Scott Loafer pointed a knife and took a woman's cell phone. He's charged with armed robbery. Officials say the incident does not appear to have been politically motivated.
Friday evening, rather, not yesterday. But boy, Don Harmon's staffer robbed at knife point outside of his office. I mean, I don't want that to happen to anyone, obviously, so that's a terrible thing. But there is something rather mugged by reality about it, given Don Harmon and the policies on public safety that he's advanced, just like these other Chicago Democrats.
Well, Dan, there was a poll. This was the second poll that I've seen in recent years. And of those Illinois residents who are still here, who have not moved, 50%, almost 50% said they would if they had the means. And they cited, number one, first of all, the taxes and fees, just the cost of living in a state like Illinois. And then, of course, that was followed a distant second and third by crime in schools and the corruption. So at the end of the day, I mean, when half the state is prepared to leave, if they only have the means, you're in real trouble. But I guess that's the record that Pritzker is going to bring as he competes with Gavin Newsom. Maybe I used to think Newsom was the worst governor in the nation, but I'm beginning to think that JB may take that top prize. But that's basically, those are, I guess, the Democratic front runners. So it's just an absolute disaster, and people are voting for their feet. And I want to make one more point really, really quick. The exodus of 1.6 million let's face it, sanctuary city, sanctuary state policies have been designed to blunt the exodus, the loss of population for all those obvious political reasons. But the income differential between those people leaving the state and those people coming to the state is almost $40,000, which means we're not only losing taxable income, which forces us, of course, the Democrats, to then raise taxes because, they're not going to cut government. But the vast majority of those individuals who are coming to the state are actually then in need of public assistance, so it's costing us even more. So at the end of the day, it's an absolute disaster. But Pritzker continues to get a free ride. Maybe Johnson less so, but at the end of the day, let's face it, they're really not being subjected to the type of scrutiny for their rhetoric and for their lies that candidates might have, or that political leaders might have been subjected to 5, 10, 15 years ago.
Paul Vallas, Senior Policy Advisor to the Illinois Policy Institute, writes weekly for the Chicago Contrarian, former CEO of CPS and mayoral candidate, of course. Paul, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Have a great week.
You too. And you join us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
The biggest time of the year for stores is during the Christmas season. And if you deal in collector coins, the main source for inventory is from people like you. We want to have our showcases fully stocked before Christmas. Last Christmas, gold was the highest ever recorded in its 5,000-year run. We don't always know if precious metals will go up or down. We're saying that if you don't appreciate that collection Grandpa left, you may want to at least find out what you can get for it. Fox Valley Coins is the trusted place where people come to buy and sell their precious metals, rare coins, and paper money. We're especially interested in purchasing now through the first week of December. And we'll still be buying after we get back from the Christmas break, but we need to purchase now. Fox Valley Coins is located one light north of I-88 on Route 59 on the Naperville-Warrenville border. We'll be closed Christmas Eve through Monday, January 4th, celebrating Jesus' birth with family and for year-end inventory. Merry Christmas from Fox Valley Coins. Family-owned integrity since 1981. FoxValleyCoins.com.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer. News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560. The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
A lot of Americans will hit the road for Thanksgiving. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. AAA is predicting record holiday travel this year. Nearly 82 million Americans. Most will drive, but about 6 million of them plan to hit the airports where it's more business as usual. 3 hours ago, the FAA lifted the flight restrictions imposed with the government back open.
After the government shutdown caused flight reductions at 40 major airports, airlines like American and Delta posting on social media that things are returning to normal. But some experts are not sure the system can recover so quickly. It depends on air traffic controllers returning to work.
Devin Truby with Fox 2 TV at San Francisco's airport after thousands of flights got canceled and delayed because of the staffing issues. There are just 33 flights scrubbed today. Ahead of a vote expected tomorrow in the House on the Jeffrey Epstein underage girls sex trafficking scheme, President Trump now supports the vote.
We have nothing to hide. That's the message President Trump has to House Republicans ahead of a vote this week on a bill that would compel the release of the Epstein files. In a post on Truth Social, President Trump says, quote, "It's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetrated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party." Every Democrat in the House was joined by a couple of Republicans who signed a discharge petition to force a vote on the legislation.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz. The Border Patrol illegal immigration crackdown continues in Charlotte, North Carolina, where Commander Greg Bavino says they made more than 80 arrests over the weekend. Fox's Madison Scarpino is there.
Bavino says most of those arrested have a, quote, significant criminal and immigration history, and he says those crimes range
range from assault, larceny, hit and runs to DUIs. But many Charlotte residents and local officials say these operations are causing unnecessary fear and uncertainty.
Another suspected drug boat blown out of the water over the weekend off the South American coast. The 21st strike targeting what the Secretary of War calls narco-terrorists, killing 3 more. It's 83 suspected drug traffickers killed in the operation now. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 36 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is threatening service cuts, layoffs, and property tax hikes if aldermen reject his proposed head tax on businesses. Jim Talamonte reports.
The city council held a public hearing on the budget Friday, but did not vote on the mayor's spending plan. Johnson was asked if he would be willing to make concessions to get people on board.
It's clear here we're either going to cut services and lay people off and raise property taxes, or we're going to make sure that those with means who can actually afford it put more skin in the game.
The city council is scheduled to meet again Tuesday.
2 men have been attacked just an hour apart this morning. Officials say a 40-year-old man walking in the 1400 block of South Canal Street was struck with an object several times by a man on a bicycle who fled the scene. A short while later, police say they were on patrol when they encountered a man in the 1300 block of South Jefferson Street. The victim told authorities he was attacked by 2 men, one of them wielding an axe. Police are continuing to investigate, and there are no suspects in custody at this time. Police are not saying if those attacks were related. A United Airlines flight headed to Chicago's O'Hare International Airport was diverted to St. Louis yesterday morning. United Air Flight 380 landed safely in St. Louis after a man told authorities there was a bomb in his wife's luggage. That threat was a hoax. Once in St. Louis, the plane was searched and nothing suspicious found. The unidentified man has been arrested. And tickets go on sale today for Metro's holiday trains, and officials say they will go fast. Holiday train trips will be offered on 5 lines this year. The Metro Electric line will have 2 trips, with the ticket including a visit to the North Pole Winter Wonderland at Millennium Station. Tickets for Metro's holiday trains go on sale at noon today at shop.metra.com. This news report is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Dubai-based airline Emirates is ordering 65 more Boeing 777-9 jets. The deal is estimated at $38 billion, though analysts say it may involve steep discounts. Emirates say the agreement could lead the way to research on a larger version of the jet. Boeing shares are narrowly higher. YouTube is offering customers a $20 credit because of the 15-day Walt Disney blackout, which was settled over the weekend. YouTube TV will also be able to offer ESPN Unlimited, Disney's new ESPN streaming service, at no extra cost to customers. It's expected to be available by the end of the year. Alphabet shares are up more than 4%. Berkshire Hathaway has invested in Google's parent company. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola. Invested in you.
Scott Jennings sees a mixed message.
A few weeks ago, they spent all of their energy talking about how this is the Republican shutdown. That was all any Democrat could say. This is the Republican shutdown. The election came and went. 8 Democrats decided to open up the government. And now the rest of the Democratic Party is angry about it.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. The Answer.
So Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $29.95 a month for life. Not your phone's life, your life. This top-tier plan is normally $65 a month, but if you switch today, you'll save over 50% every month for the rest of your life. You might say it's the deal of your lifetime. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. Offer expires 12/7. Some restrictions apply. Details at puretalk.com.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that they are making it through. They want to thank you for your continued support by extending their wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows for only $14.98. It gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more, or multi-use pillows for only $9.98. Get body pillows for $29.98 with a free pillowcase. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98. Kings only $1 more. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. Order $100 or more and your order ships absolutely free. We know MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced that they are extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026.
The children of our nation know little to nothing about 9/11, but the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute is righting this wrong by helping teachers educate kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction first-person accounts are told through videos and the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full scripted curriculum units with background for teachers, a speakers bureau for classrooms, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts and FDNY guides. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
I used to stand in the paint aisle staring at all those products and wondering which one actually worked. I wasted so much money on things that didn't help. Then I tried Blue Stop, and let me tell you, it works. It soothes my sore joints and stiff muscles fast, absorbs quickly, and even smells great. Millions of people already trust Blue Stop, and now I do too. No prescription, no waiting. It's on the shelf right now at Walmart. If you want real relief, choose Blue Stop and feel the difference. Blue Stop at Walmart today.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Double trouble on the Eisenhower inbound. There's a crash at North Avenue taking out the right lane, but on the outbound side, a flipped over car at Independence Boulevard. Delays go all the way back to Homan Avenue. So inbound Eisenhower from Wolf to the old post office is 35 minutes. Outbound is 28. The Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange, 45 minutes. Outbound is 47. And then stop and go on the inbound express lanes between Damon Avenue and Ohio Street. The Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 43. Outbound is 24. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange is 30. Outbound is 11. This traffic update is delivered to you by Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery. Local delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, expect sunny skies early, giving way to more clouds later on with a high of 48. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with some rain moving in late and a low of 41. Tomorrow will bring occasional rain and drizzle with a high of 46. By Wednesday, anticipate overcast skies with a high of 46. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Now, this story sort of under-discussed, talking about the fires that destroyed the Palisades.
This call will be recorded.
And, hello? KTLA reporting the other week on the confusion, I guess, that LA firefighters had when they pulled out of fighting a fire in the Palisades that was still smoldering, a fire that subsequently reignited.
The report says firefighters were ordered to leave the smoldering burn site that eventually became the deadly Palisades wildfire. The LA Times is obtained text messages from 3 firefighters at the scene of the Lockman fire. That fire started, of course, New Year's Day and then smoldered until January 7th, when historic winds reignited it into the Palisades fire. Federal prosecutors say that fire was intentionally set by Jonathan Rinderknecht. On January 2nd, a battalion chief ordered firefighters at the scene to pull out of the area because the fire was contained. One firefighter said the chief had been told it was a bad idea to leave because the fire was still smoldering and could be rekindled. The LAFD has declined to comment on the text messages.
Yeah. Now, I know that it wasn't climate change, it was arson, as per usual, exacerbated by poor land management, arguably. And you've got a guy that's looking at half a century in prison, in custody. But still, the competence at the leadership level of the LA Fire Department, this another element that calls into question, in addition to the emergency response that night. You don't want to get Karen Bass off the hot seat here, pun intended. And also, this is sort of instructive because we have mayors like Karen Bass in places like Chicago, and now in places like New York, forthcoming, Mamdani, in places like Seattle, Katie Wilson did end up winning that race, defund the police, ideological apparatchik in the vein of a Mamdani. And since they're identitarians as well, all of them, and so many more big city mayors, this is particularly instructive because you'll remember what the focus was for the mayor in L.A., Karen Bass, for the senior leadership of the fire department that was led by people like Crowley, whose main job, and by the way, she took the fall for it, of course. Hey, I can do identitarian politics until it's, my butt that's on the line, and then, I got to have you fall on the sword, and that's exactly what happened. But it was all about the DEI assistant chief, Christine Larson, all the Christines, Christine Larson, and the chief, Kristen Crowley, who talked about LGBT. She's the first LGBTQ++ chief. The goal is recruit more women, recruit more gay firefighters. Like that matters. The Department of Water and Power boss, Janice Quinones, who talked about being powered by equity. I mean, all these people. Quinones was a good example of what you had, the senior leadership of all of the important public response agencies and, key infrastructure organizations.
You call it powered by equity, and I know that it's been really important for the DWP to put an equity lens on everything.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the number one thing that attracted me to this role. Coming from the communities that I come, seeing what I've seen through my career in utilities and through the military. I've been in the Coast Guard 19 and a half years now, so I got 6 more months to qualify for my 20 years, which was my original goal.
Wow, congratulations, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Not anymore. Thank you maybe for your previous service, then your service at LADWP, less so. Less of a thank you. And boy, it turns out when you're all focused on identitarian politics and recruiting this category of person and this category of person that has little to do with competency and more to do with identity, then there is great equity because everybody's house burns down. For more on this story and a few others, pleased to be joined again by Susan Crabtree, who is RealClearPolitics.com's national political correspondent. She's also the co-author of Fool's Gold, The Radicals, Con Artists, and Traitors Who Killed the California Dream and Now Threaten Us All. Perfect segue. Susan, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, yeah, I mean, it's nice, especially with the newly minted mayors from coast to coast, New York to Seattle, and frankly, even Jacob Fry in Minneapolis, too. It's nice to revisit this as more information becomes available, like that KTLA report that I started with, and some of the reporting you've done, because this is the danger. It may not come in the form of a fire or an arson, but this is the danger when you put people in charge like Karen Bass or Brandon Johnson or Katie Wilson or Zohran Mamdani.
That's exactly right. Karen Bass was basically blackballed from the consideration for Biden's vice president, because she had gone to Cuba and trained with the Marxists and Fidel Castro in Cuba as a young person. So, I covered Karen Bass in Congress. She was the chair of the Black Caucus, and she refused to answer to reporters. She was, just like a lot of members of the Black Caucus, very safe seats, that we're talking about gerrymandering in California. They create these very safe seats, so there's no accountability. And the press, it took Spencer Pratt, a reality TV star who had his house burned down and his parents' house burned down in the Palisades fire, to really push the officials and to get this information out there. All of this information is really originating from Spencer Pratt, because the media in California is nothing but access journalism, where they suck up to the politicians, and that's how they get their stories. And I am infuriated living in California that there's not a more diverse press out here, but I guess the New York Post is coming to California with the California Post, so there is some hope of accountability journalism on the horizon. But right now, all of this came out because of Spencer Pratt. He got the text messages first. The LA Times is just following him, and because they're forced to.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that these texts came out that these LA fire were told to leave the Lackland fire that was smoldering still, and they were also told, this was a subsequent story that Spencer Pratt was talking about over the weekend, they couldn't bulldoze certain areas to look for the fire because of an endangered plant.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, that sounds about right. And so then the consequence of that sort of, pathological empathy for plants is, as you report, a 94-year-old Holocaust survivor doesn't have the funds to rebuild her home. I mean, and I know what that's like, dealing with insurance companies in after a disaster. And, this happens all the time in disasters, and these stories are not told, which is now, did somebody just also, did they just not suffer the loss of a home and everything associated with that? But they can't stay in the community they've been in for so long because, of course, the economics of staying there have changed.
It's heartbreaking. That testimony that I listened to late last week was absolutely heartbreaking. You had 90-year-old people. One of them had suffered stroke after losing their house and being moved to another location. This was their kids talking about their in-laws, and they're uprooted at the twilight of their lives.
Right.
From the homes that they had lived in for decades, and the communities surrounded. They're uprooted from their friends. I know from my mom, who's 84, you start going to funerals at that point. You don't have many friends left. So those friends are so important to your mental health and your even physical health. And these people are suffering so much. And Gavin Newsom has the audacity to go down and be part of a global climate change and blame this fire on climate change. I am fed up with that excuse. I have written about it in my book. We have a whole chapter on the wildfires in the book. This one was arson, this Palisades, but the Eaton fire was caused by the utility, SoCal Edison, and most of the fires in California are caused by the utilities, and the utilities are in bed with the Democratic politicians, funding them and giving them jobs like Quinones, that one, the fire and water chief, she worked at PG&E before she worked at the LA Water and Fire Department, and she was the one that was responsible for not filling that reservoir again.
Mm-hmm.
So she's directly responsible, and this is all about money in politics in California and DEI, as you mentioned.
What is
similar story in the Secret Service?
Well, just on the Palisades? I think we checked in a couple of months ago, and it's been I think it was about a year at that time, and it was like 6 houses are under construction or have been substantially rebuilt out of 2,000. What is the status of the rebuild?
It's similar to what you're just mentioning. I did a story with my colleague, my White House correspondent colleague, Phil Wegman, and we did a story that most of the work was done by FEMA and the EPA. And so they're taking credit, Gavin Newsom and Mayor Bass have taken credit for all this debris removal, but that was FEMA, and that's because Trump lit a fire under FEMA and EPA and told them they had to do this. They had to move as quickly as possible. And then the permitting process has been a slow roll.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a county process, and then there's a city process that the city, one of them's going better than the other. If you want to learn about the details of that, we have a story. If you go on Real Clear Politics, search my name and Phil Wegman's name. It's a detailed story about which was better and all of the details on that. But it is appalling that they're trying to take credit for Trump's work on that. And the fact that Spencer Pratt is the one, and now these Senate investigators are coming. It was Senator Ron Johnson and Senator Rick Scott. Senators from thousands of miles away from California are the ones doing the job to really investigate this when, the California senators, Adam Schiff and Alex Padilla, don't want to touch it.
Yeah, the reality stars will save us, huh? Spencer Pratt. That's it's wild. But just in terms of, and I think I overshot it. I think it's been about 10 months since the fire. But
yes.
But are you have so many high profile people there, including James Woods and so forth. I'm surprised I haven't heard more from some of them publicly calling out this permitting process and how slow it is to rebuild and the things that people are going through. I know you mentioned some of the testimony recently, but I'm wondering when this reaches more of a fever pitch.
I think you've got to provide a forum for them, and that's what they're starting to do with this Senate hearing that came. It wasn't that public. I don't know why they don't have Mel Gibson. He lost his home as well involved. He's a conservative,
right?
And he could talk about whether I don't know if they're rebuilding or not. The sad thing about it is the insurance companies aren't covering enough of the fire compensation for many people to rebuild. So they're selling their land to Chinese investors, and that's troubling. And there's all kinds of machinations on part of the Democratic politicians to try to introduce multifamily home units to the area and change the nature of the community. So that effort has been pushed off because of the outrage for now, at least. But there was getting into the state legislature, which is super majority controlled, Democratic controlled, to introduce that. But there was some public outrage about that, so that's stalled for now. But it is just beyond sad. And the fact, I just can't get over it that Newsom would go down to Brazil and do his climate change act. He did that after the Paradise Fire. This is in 2017. 84 people died in that fire. That should have been the canary in the coal mine that stopped all of this non-forest management. The utilities don't maintain, they're negligent, but Gavin Newsom decided he's going to bail out that utility because they gave $750,000 to him and his wife, Gender Justice Films, PG&E.
Yeah, well, he was asked recently by Jonathan Karl about these characterizations of him as Patrick Bateman, which I take credit for being the first to call him Patrick Bateman. He's a dead ringer, not just the look, but also the personality, and by that I mean psychopathic, and that's what this Brazil thing is. I mean, a guy who will just, walk over the destroyed lives of thousands of families in the Pacific Palisades, and despite having a guy in custody charged with arson, looking at the rest of his life potentially in prison, and will go down and do a photo op in Brazil. I mean, that's just the kind of guy he is.
He did the same thing in China. We have this all in our book. He was showboating in China a couple of years ago, and then, of course, he had the President Xi come to San Francisco and cleaned up that city of all the homelessness miraculously. But, we have in our book, Fool's Gold, that he sold out the state of California to China because he was supposed to get, this wonderful deal. It was supposed to be great for both commerce. It was supposed to be mutually beneficial. But actually what happened is he brought in a bunch of Chinese companies that undercut the American solar companies, including Solyndra, and then he goes out to China and Shanghai and is trademarking his own wine into China. I mean, this man, you don't know the depths of the depravity of Gavin Newsom, and the fact that he is a front runner for the Democratic nomination for 2028, it should give everybody, it should be a red flashing light. And I hope that you would get the book Fool's Gold, my book with Peter Schweizer's top researcher, Jed McFadder, because the Washington Examiner called it a takedown of Gavin Newsom. We did a 2-year investigation, and I don't even know if we scratched the surface, but there are so many blockbuster exclusives in this book, and it just goes to his full, like you said, sociopathic nature. I mean, he lied about how he got into college, and he's continuing to do it. He said baseball got him into his baseball prowess.
Well, yeah, that was after being born a poor black kid and learning the game of basketball too. I saw that recently. Yeah, and make his way through to the tough streets of where did he grow up? Palo Alto,
Marin County, Redwood City. It's so gorgeous there, but I mean, he turns this thing. His parents were divorced, but I went through and I asked his office after that silly interview, where it was, I mean, it became a meme that I actually reported afterwards that he tried out for the baseball team. The baseball team, the people that were actually on the team came to me and said, before my book, and said, it's outrageous. We don't even remember him being on the team. He's not on the official roster at all. But I did have one baseball player tell me recently, and I wrote about it, that he lost his Rolex in the dugout and was freaking out and asked everybody to help him.
Well, sure. I mean, that was that was a priceless gift from the Getty family, I'm sure.
Exactly.
I mean, it is.
Come on.
This is something. Well, I mean, we have a governor in Illinois who runs around characterizing himself as being raised by a single mom. And
Same.
Yeah, I mean, it's just slightly misleading and intentionally so, of course. Susan Crabtree, RealClearPolitics.com's national political correspondent. Again, the book, Fool's Gold, the radicals, con artists, and traitors who killed the California dream and now threaten us all. Fool's Gold, if you want the full dossier on Gavin Newsom, as we've been discussing. Susan, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thanks so much.
And she joined us on the Pro Answer Line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You probably know I help business owners fight back against the IRS. But today, I'm talking to those who haven't filed their returns. I know what that feels like. The sleepless nights, the unopened mail, the pit in your stomach every time you see an IRS envelope. You're not lazy, you're overwhelmed. Here's the truth. The IRS feeds on fear. When you hide, they win. When you act, you take back control. I help business owners clean up unfiled returns before the IRS comes knocking. No lectures, no judgment, just a clear plan to get you caught up and protect what you've built. The new tax season is almost here. Don't wait until the IRS decides your future. Decide it yourself. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll show you exactly how to get back in control before tax season takes control of you. Or call us right now at 312-664-6649. That's fightbacknow.com, because freedom starts with filing.
Why wait for Black Friday when you can save every day? Hassleless Mattress is bringing back Black Friday Plus now through December 2nd on all Beautyrest, Beautyrest World Class, and Beautyrest Black mattresses. Get a Queen Beautyrest Elm Cove A mattress. Others sell it for $1,650, but our Black Friday Plus price is just $794, plus free adjustable base, plus free memory foam pillows, plus free next day delivery, and a great night's sleep. Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassleless.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, we'll talk to the director of the ICE field office in Chicago, Sam Olson. We'll get his response to the allegations that are being made, and they are many, about ICE operations in Chicago, both what they're doing and what they've done. Discussing all of that with Sam Olson at 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 36 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. There's some good news for travelers this morning as the FAA has announced that it has ended the mandatory restriction of flights. The Federal Aviation Administration had required a major reduction of flights due to a lack of air traffic controllers during the government shutdown. 40 airports across the nation faced those cuts, including Chicago's Midway and O'Hare airports. O'Hare was one of several hub airports to bear the brunt of the cuts, which caused significant delays. Airline officials say they're optimistic about airline travel as we head into the Thanksgiving holiday next week. Civil rights leader Reverend Jesse Jackson's family say he is not on life support despite reports from numerous sources. Instead, the family states that Jackson is in stable condition and is breathing on his own. Jackson was admitted to the hospital last week. Reverend Jackson is suffering from a neurological disorder called progressive supranuclear palsy. This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again, not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt breaks down the latest Epstein files.
I've looked at the emails they released today. They do not do anything to implicate Donald Trump. In fact, they exonerate Donald Trump. There's no proof, but there were lawsuits, many lawsuits by many plaintiffs' lawyers that would have loved to have sued Donald Trump. There's no there. And they're talking about it because they don't have any ideas, and Obamacare is a complete and total failure.
The Hugh Hewitt Show, afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local, family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Jammed on the northbound side of Lakeshore Drive into Hollywood Avenue, the Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange 45, outbound is 42, and then stop and go inbound on the express lanes from Montrose Avenue to Ohio Street. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office is 43, outbound is 29. An accident at Independence Boulevard, though, has been cleared. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 32 minutes. Outbound is 21. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange is 32. Outbound is 13. And the inbound express lanes slow down between 59th Street and the Stevenson. This report is a service of Blindstert.com. Blindstert.com sells custom blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices. Their blinds are handcrafted to fit your windows, and if they don't for any reason, they'll remake them for free. Your satisfaction is always guaranteed at Blindstert.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, expect sunny skies giving way to more clouds later on with a high of 48. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with some rain arriving late and a low of 41. Tomorrow will bring periods of rain and drizzle with a high of 46. Wednesday will see lingering low clouds with a high of 46. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. And CBS Chicago reporting that of the more than 600 individuals detained by ICE in Chicago, only 16 have criminal histories. That's what they're saying. Criminal histories that would be in addition to coming to this country illegally, because, of course, the Chicago Press Corps doesn't count that as a crime, even though federal law does. In addition to that, we have the accusation from ProPublica that the apartment raid, that South Shore apartment raid, which was allegedly an interdiction of at least some Tren de Aragua gangbangers. Not a single person who was arrested has been charged with a crime. This is ProPublica. And these two items are being circulated over the last several days, whipping the left into a frenzy, the open borders crowd into a frenzy to say, sort of the see, we told you. ProPublica investigation found little evidence to support the government's claims. ProPublica has discovered the names of 21 of the detained Venezuelan men and women and interviewed 12 of them. We also spoke with dozens of their relatives, friends, and neighbors. We reviewed public record databases and court websites, examined our court documents, social media accounts, blah, blah, blah. Federal prosecutors have not filed criminal charges against anyone who was arrested, nor have they revealed any evidence showing that 2 immigrants arrested in the building belonged to the TDA gang, Tren de Aragua, or even provided their names. And the one that ProPublica was able to identify allegedly claims that he is not a gang member. And, of course, ProPublica is happy to just take his word for it. So, we want to get responses to these accusations from those in the know so that people can disseminate these responses, because prepared statements from Tricia McLaughlin to local network affiliates in Chicago and the daily newspapers of the legacy media, that's not going to cut it. Those stories are so propagandized that, a statement that's excerpted to, quote unquote, give the other side just doesn't pierce through, does it? So for more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Sam Olson, who is the director of the ICE field office in Chicago. Sam, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
So tackle those two for you, will you? For us, I should say, will you? The of the 600. I mean, this was a report out over the weekend, but the other data I've seen from DHS is that you've apprehended a lot more than 600 at Operation Midway Blitz. But they said 16 of the 600 they looked at, CBS, only 16 had criminal records in addition to being here illegally. And then, of course, the South Shore apartment complex raid as well, if you could address those.
Sure. Well, the South Shore apartment complex, that wasn't an ICE operation. That was Border Patrol, so I won't be able to speak a lot on that.
Okay.
But getting back to kind of what was released, on these 600, right? While there is some pending litigation on that, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. But this is, we have to remember, this is just a subset of some of the arrests that we made. While ICE hasn't put out formal numbers yet, but I can say since the start of Midway Blitz, we've arrested over 4,000 here in Chicago. And, of course, not everybody we arrest is going to have a criminal history. But that's who we are looking for. We're looking for the worst of the worst. And unfortunately, because of some of the laws that are here within the state of Illinois, we can't get those that have some kind of criminal history right from the jail or even right from an Illinois prison. Because we're prohibited from doing that, so we have to do the at-large enforcement operations, where we're bound to encounter people that, while they might not have a criminal history, like you said, are still here illegally. So they're still breaking federal immigration law by being here, and we're just not going to turn a blind eye to a lot of those people. And kind of further to go into that too, there's certain cases, while they may not have an actual criminal history here in the U.S., they have criminal histories elsewhere, and just by our U.S. immigration law that we are mandated to take an action. There's a lot of people that we have here, close to 100,000, that have final orders of removal, right, that have seen an immigration judge. The judge has ordered removal from the United States. So by law, my officers are mandated to arrest and detain them and effect their removal from the U.S.
Can you give us a sense of the proportion? I know the number that's been thrown around by Tom Homan and others, that's basically around 70% of the people apprehended by ICE nationally have charges pending or a criminal conviction in addition to being here illegally. So just into 4,000, that's a lot more than I understood that you had apprehended here in Chicago. And I saw there was a release that DHS put out last week, November 12th, that provided some data on violent crime in Chicago being down since the start of Midway Blitz, and you have some thumbnails on about 10 or so people that you apprehended who have extensive criminal records. But I'm just trying to get like a sense of it, and when we can get sort of the full view into all the people with that pose public safety threats, so that we can really inform the conversation that's out there that is being stilted by the press corps and the politicians in the city.
Right, and I think that is probably pretty close, what Mr. Holman says, on the people that do have some sort of criminal history. Because, again, if we're looking at just, I think we have to really just be careful on how we're defining criminal history, too, and what constitutes that, right? We have a lot of people that are, known or suspected terrorists, that are members of a gang, where they might not have some criminal conviction or even an arrest on there, but there's information that we have that shows that they are public safety threats or even national security threats. There are a lot of people that we arrest that have some sort of criminal history in their country where they're from. Some countries kind of cooperate and give us that information, while others do not, right? So there's just a lot of people that we don't have a lot of information on. And so while we are out there targeting the ones that either have final orders of removal or have some type of criminal history in the U.S., we're bound to encounter other people. I've said it before too, like if I could focus all of the resources that we have here in Chicago in just arresting those people that were arrested by, the locals or the state, if we could get them coming out of, Cook County Jail or even the Illinois State Prison, I would focus all resources on that. Unfortunately, there isn't that cooperation. So anybody that is illegal that gets arrested by Cook County or anywhere in the state, right, we don't get notification when they're being released from that jail. So then, therefore, they're back out in the streets, and that's what we have to dedicate our resources to. And that's when, of course, we encounter those that might be here illegally. I don't want to say just illegally, right, because they're here illegally. And I think that's something else that we have to hit on, too, that, it seems like we're, a lot of my officers are vilified for the work that we're doing, but what we're doing also is not a secret, right? I think that, Tom Homan was here in January saying this is what we're going to do. The administration has said that since before they even took office, that we are going to be out enforcing immigration law. Now, there is the CBP Home app where people can kind of take control of their situation and kind of go home on their terms, and that's what I recommend that they do because, again, I think that we've been transparent throughout, saying if you're here illegally, we're going to enforce the law and you may be arrested.
And so, but I mean, just to restate for clarity, so of the 4,000 you guys have apprehended, you would say, I mean, again, this is an approximation, that 70% of those are public safety threats. I mean, either affiliated with a gang, serious criminal charges in their home country, and then obviously serious criminal charges or convictions here. I mean, terrorist organization affiliations and so forth as well. That's what you're saying.
I mean, I can't say that, yes, 70% of this number is generally the people that ICE is going after. Again, this 4,000 that we arrested, that's some that ICE arrested, and that was also when the U.S. Border Patrol was here as well. Okay. Again, the way we each conduct business is a little bit different. While ICE focuses, on more of this target enforcement, Border Patrol does it, in a different way, all with the same mission in mind, to arrest those that are violating our immigration laws.
Yeah, you probably saw this sting that was done in Nassau County, New York, where they arrested 7 DMV employees for frauding the CDL license issuance program in New York. And, of course, we've seen these high-profile big rig accidents where people in this country illegally who frauded their way to a CDL license kill people in Florida and California and elsewhere. And I wonder, is there any overture made by ICE or ICE in conjunction with CBP to a Brandon Johnson or to a J.B. Pritzker, to politicians in Illinois, say, you know what, I know you disagree with us on this, but you run around pretending that you want to take public safety threats off the streets and out of this country if they're here illegally. Well, why don't you work with us on a sting with respect to looking at CDL license issuances in Illinois? Or why don't you work with us on something here where it's obvious and we've got all the details that these are gangbangers or the violent criminals? Here's their rap sheets, that sort of thing. Are there overtures made and they're just rejected, or is there just no communication whatsoever?
There just hasn't been a lot of communication, and that's something that I would love to do. I would love to sit with everybody and try to at least carve out something that we can do, whether it be, cooperation just on, the violent criminals, cooperation, like you say, just on some of these ones that are kind of abusing the commercial vehicle system. Part of Midway Blitz, we did the commercial vehicle operations in Northwest Indiana. We arrested over 240 people, illegal aliens driving big rigs during that operation. I mean, and that wasn't even the entire length of Midway Blitz. That was just a brief snapshot of what we did there. So, I mean, it's a problem everywhere. And we're doing this in a lot of states. And I think where we're seeing the most cooperation, we're going to see actually the biggest benefit to public safety. Going back to those that have been apprehended that fit that category of public safety threat, is there going to be more information, or is there a site or somewhere where people can get information? I'm looking to try to get profiles on the people that have been apprehended by ICE so that they can share them and say, I'm sorry that
a Hanover Park police officer was ensnared in this, but he also shouldn't have overstayed his visa by a decade, and he shouldn't have been a Hanover Park police officer. So to provide proportion to the discussion, to say, look at all these individuals that they're removing from our street that objectively pose public safety threats given their past behavior and perhaps current behavior in terms of pending charges. And I just think that informs the discussion so much more as the stories we can tell, the evidence that we can present.
No, and I agree. And ICE is working, and they have also posted their worst of the worst on the ICE.gov website. And I know that they're working to continue to expand that, just so we can kind of show, those that we are arresting. Well, again, like we're not going to shy away from anyone who is here illegally, but there are some significant public safety threats that we are arresting. I mean, just yesterday here in Chicago, we arrested somebody that had convictions for retail theft and child abduction and luring a child that was less than 17. So again, that was just one case that we got yesterday here in Chicago. And those cases are happening every day.
Something else I wanted to get your reaction to, because I didn't really have an appreciation for this before I saw the New York Post story, but fake ICE arrests, AI generated. There's a site that they focused in on called USA Journey 897, which is just incubating all these, incendiary fake ICE arrests of people pulling of ICE officers, pulling a father or mother from their kids or roughing somebody up, but they're completely AI generated. Listen to this report.
Hey, baby, let me go! Ma'am, stop resisting. Keep moving. You can't take me from her, please. She's right there. Don't do this. She's just a baby. Get her in the vehicle.
Videos on social media sites like Facebook show intense dramatic scenes of federal agents detaining migrants, many of which are racking up hundreds of thousands of views each. The catch? They're fake and made by AI. The latest in the scary trend of videos created by artificial intelligence can be prominently seen on the Facebook account USA Journey 897. The account, which was flagged by independent researcher Chad Loader to 404 Media, a journalist-founded organization focusing on digital media, features dozens of AI-generated videos of the same theme. Many of the AI videos posted by the page show workers at prominent U.S. chains like McDonald's or Walmart being ushered into vans by federal agents as they plead to see their kids. Others show mothers and fathers being emotionally ripped away from their weeping children as officers coldly instruct the parents to put their hands behind their back. The videos, which are garnering tens, even hundreds of thousands of views, do not bear an AI watermark, but all display the same superimposed text, reading deportation, along with emojis and a pair of American flags. While some of the videos note in their captions that they are created by AI for, quote, entertainment and creative purposes only, many do not, leaving viewers who don't know any better to discern their validity for themselves.
I mean, is this something that ICE needs to raise the profile on and discuss publicly so people know that they're, these are professional agitators trying to demonize ICE by completely caricaturing what's actually happening?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate when we see those things. I mean, right now, even here locally, we have a team kind of set up. It's like our joint operations center, where essentially we're going through and trying to respond to, with our Office of Public Affairs to some of these, videos that are coming out to say, like, hey, was ICE in this area? Was this true? And unfortunately, a lot of times it wasn't us. And so we are trying to put things in place where we can kind of get out there ahead of these to say that these aren't happening. Because what's happening is that, this is inflaming a lot of people, further kind of villainizing our officers. And now when our officers go out, we see them not only having to deal with, trying to arrest somebody here that might not want to be arrested, but then again, just like the public, the bystanders coming in to make the situation even more dangerous. So yeah, it's very frustrating to see that these are out there.
He is Sam Olson. He is the director of the ICE field office in Chicago. Sam, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. And
Sam joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you are 65 or older, you know this. Inflation is hitting everyone hard right now, especially when it comes to health care. Over the last 10 years, health care costs have skyrocketed by, get this, 230%. If you have Medicare Parts A and B, you know there are still out-of-pocket expenses like deductibles and copayments, and they really add up. But here's some good news. MediShare 65 Plus is designed to fill in those gaps and help protect you from rising healthcare costs. At only $99 per month up to age 75, you get peace of mind at a price you can afford. And MediShare is trusted, too. It's been around 30 years. It's not some big impersonal thing. It's a community of people helping each other, business owners, pastors, retirees. People love it. MediShare 65 Plus just makes sense. To learn more, give them a call. They're great to talk to. They'll offer to pray with you each time you call, too. Call now. 855-PSALM-32. That's 855-PSALM-32. 855-PSALM-32.
So Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $29.95 a month for life. Not your phone's life, your life. This top-tier plan is normally $65 a month, but if you switch today, you'll save over 50% every month for the rest of your life. You might say it's the deal of your lifetime. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. Offer expires 12/7. Some restrictions apply. Details at puretalk.com.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
Sean Thompson here, and I'm with attorney Bert Hochberg from the law firm of Schiller, Ducanto, and Fleck. We're talking about divorce arbitration. This is not really a new, or is it a new, innovative way to go through divorce?
Arbitration has been around for decades. It's completely legit and available to resolve divorce cases. The litigants and their lawyers sign an arbitration agreement. They identify what the issues are, and we set up dates, and we determine what experts and witnesses there may be. Arbitration is a hearing, a trial that is intended to finish a case efficiently with limited appeal, with a binding decision, and it's confidential, so it has some great characteristics.
I think it's a unique alternative to divorce. For more information, please visit sdflaw.com and type Bert Hochberg into the search box. That's sdflaw.com or call direct 773-255-6150.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2341. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-2341. That's 800-575-2341.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
AM 560. The Answer.
Text him 630. Please tell Sam thank you and please stay safe. Love to see politicians, judges, and others who aid and abet apprehended as well. Yeah. I do appreciate Sam Olson coming on. We got to continue to provide context to the left's agitprop. Thanks for joining us today. It is now 9 o'clock, AM 560 WIND Chicago.
President Trump says there's nothing to hide. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Ahead of a House vote expected tomorrow he now supports, related to the Jeffrey Epstein scheme, sex trafficking underage girls. House Speaker Mike Johnson tells Fox
President Trump has clean hands. He's not worried about it. I talk to him all the time. He has nothing to do with this.
The president's been telling Republicans not to fall into a Democrat trap, but Fox's Mark Meredith of the White House says it's a big